Chapter 372. Breaking into the Zhong family. What are they doing here? Could it be that Sun Clan's great elder Sun Xing called him over? It's hard to say. I've seen a few of them before. They are the elders of the second-rate clans in Ivory City, and their cultivation is around the middle primal core stage. The ancestor of a second-rate family? Take a closer look. The three old men in the lead are the patriarchs of the Zhong and Sun families in Ivory City. Their cultivation levels are at the peak of the primal core stage. What? Even they are here? Is Ivory City going to be cleansed? After a brief silence, the crowd burst into exclamations. Many cultivators stared at the figures that had suddenly appeared, their faces filled with shock. Over the years, the strong performance of the Zhong family had left a deep impression in their hearts. Now, a large number of warriors had joined forces to oppose the Zhong family. It had to be said that this was a great shock to them. All right. Very good, very good. At this time, Zhong Bin calmed down. He waved his hand and said in a deep voice, "Since you're so naive, I'll show you the true strength of the Zhong family today." Swish, 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 swish. Just as Zhong Bin's voice faded, several figures flew out from the Zhong clan's courtyard and appeared in front of the Zhong clan's gate in the blink of an eye. Seeing the sudden appearance of these cultivators, the crowd once again exclaimed in surprise. Because these martial artists were not weak. They could be described as terrifying. 2 peak-stage primal core, 4 late-stage primal core, 8 mid-stage primal core, and 10 early-stage primal core. Just the Zhong family alone had 24 primal core adepts, which was even more than the other clans combined. Am I seeing things? Seeing the formidable strength of the Zhong clan, a true martial realm primary stage martial artist rubbed his eyes and said in a daze. Are you seeing things? These warriors are all from the Zhong clan. Another martial artist in the middle stage of the true martial realm was also very shocked, but he did not lose his mind, and said in a deep voice, in addition to the 24 origin core stage martial artists, the Zhong family still has no less than 50 true martial realm martial artists. 50. Hearing this, everyone shot their gazes towards the Zhong clan's courtyard. If one didn't take a look, one wouldn't know, but the moment one did, he was shocked. 40 to 50 martial artists lined up neatly in the courtyard of the Zhong family. Old Hu, what should we do now? The terrifying strength of the Zhong family had clearly exceeded Sun Xing's expectations. He got closer to Hu Qingchen and whispered, "The power in the middle can contend with the Zhong family, but Zhong Bin and the other yin-yang realm martial artist are not easy to deal with." In fact, Hu Qingchen had already realized the severity of the problem when the Zhong family's experts appeared. Although Sun Xing and the patriarchs of the other families weren't a match for the yin-yang realm cultivators, they could at least stall one of them. As for the other yin-yang martial artist, he and Ning Yu would work together to deal with him. The sudden emergence of so many experts from the Zhong family had completely disrupted their plans. He couldn't help but look at Ning Yu. Old Hu, find a way to stall Zhong Bin. I'm going to enter the Zhong family and force that yin-yang realm martial artist out myself. Ning Yu's expression was solemn. He tapped the ground with the tip of his foot and dashed forward. Shio. Ning Yu's speed was very fast, so fast that besides Hu Qingchen and Zhong Bin, no one else could react. Where are you going? Hu Qingchen was indeed a peak early yin-yang realm martial artist. The moment Ning Yu dashed forward, he gathered all the yuan qi in his body to his wrist and punched at Ning Yu's chest. What is Zhong Bin doing? Why is he punching the air? Could he have lost his mind? How is that possible? Zhong Bin is a yin-yang realm martial artist. He shouldn't have lost his mind. No. Look at Ning Yu. Following this exclamation, everyone was surprised to find that Ning Yu's figure was gradually becoming illusory. Very quickly, Ning Yu appeared in front of Zhong Bin, an after-image. It's an after-image. Ning Yu's speed is so fast. He's just a middle-stage martial artist. Even an early primal core stage martial artist like me couldn't see any clues. Early primal core stage? I, a middle primal core stage martial artist, don't even know when Ning Yu disappeared. At first, everyone was just exclaiming, but in the end, they were all numb. This was because, in the face of Zhong Bin's powerful attack, Ning Yu did not retreat. Instead, a violent wave of yuan qi appeared on his palm, and a backhand punch collided with Zhongbin's fist. Bang! The two collided, and a low sound rang out. Immediately, Ningyu and Zhongbin both took a few steps back. Zhongbin took 3 steps back, and as for Ningyu, he took more than 10 steps back before he could stabilize his body. With this blow, it was clear who was stronger. Zhongbin, thank you for lending me a hand. Ningyu first smiled at Zhongbin, then said to Hu Qingchen, stop Zhongbin and buy me half an hour. Understood. Hearing Ningyu's words, Hu Qingchen gritted his teeth and said in a low voice, Sun Xing, leave 2 peak primal core stage martial artists. The rest will deal with the Zhong family's martial artists with you. Swoosh. As his voice fell, Hu Qingchen took a step forward, and the yuan qi in his body burst out. He was the first to rush toward Zhongbin. Lu family head, Fang family head, you two and Hu Qingchen will deal with Zhongbin together. The rest, follow me. Sun Xing's face was cold as he joined the battle. Damn it. Zhongbin cursed in his heart. His face was extremely ugly. He did not expect Ningyu to be so cunning as to use this method to enter the Zhong family. Right now, the yin-yang stage martial artist from the corpse sect was refining elixirs, and he was at a critical moment. If he was disturbed, the refining of elixirs would fail, and the worst case would be qi deviation. Therefore, no matter what, he had to stop Ningyu. Boom. In front of the Zhong family's gate, the martial artists from both sides finally fought because of Ningyu. The fuse of this battle, Ningyu, had already entered the Zhong family's courtyard. Trespassers of the Zhong family, kill. As soon as Ningyu entered the Zhong family's courtyard, he was besieged by 50 true martial realm martial artists. Red Devil, kill. Ningyu casually threw out the Red Devil sword and held the soul-severing sword in his hand as he shouted. Relatively speaking, Ningyu preferred to use the soul-severing sword. After all, he had used the soul-severing sword for a long time and was more comfortable with it. Unless he was dealing with a peak Yuan Dan or yin-yang stage martial artist, Ningyu did not want to use the Red Devil sword. Fut. Since Ningyu used the soul-severing sword, the Red Devil naturally had complete control of the Red Devil sword. He transformed into his human form and held the Red Devil sword in his hand as he charged left and right among the true martial realm martial artists. With every thrust of the Red Devil's sword, a true martial realm martial artist of the Zhong family was killed. Ningyu, these martial artists are strange. While attacking, the Red Devil said. I also noticed that they are very dull, as if they are controlled by the spirit pill. Ningyu was also very puzzled. These true martial realm martial artists had very weak self-awareness and basically relied on their physical strength to fight their enemies. This kind of performance was similar to a martial artist who had taken a spirit pill. Could it be that the corpse sect has developed a new type of spirit pill? And it can be mass-produced? Thinking of this, Ningyu's face became completely gloomy. Chapter 373. Chapter 373, The Alchemist's Bang. After knocking a true martial realm martial artist back, Ningyu said in a low voice, Hongmo, ignore them. Hurry up and find the yin-yang realm martial artist. Let's split up. Whoever finds him first, inform the other party. Got it. Hongmo's face was also very solemn. He nodded heavily and immediately slashed out a shocking sword ray, forcing all the true martial realm martial artists in front of him to retreat. Then, Hongmo flew towards the west. Swoosh. As for Ningyu, he ran in the opposite direction of Hongmo and flashed in another direction. The reason why Ningyu wanted to enter the Zhong family was because he had just contacted Zun Jianwen. From Zun Jianwen, he found out that the Zhong family's yin-yang realm martial artist was an alchemist. Although his alchemy level was not as good as Zun Jianwen's, it was still at the advanced stage of the 7th grade. Furthermore, Zun Jianwen told him that the Zhong family's advanced stage 7th grade alchemist was refining a special kind of elixir. As for what elixir it was, Zun Jianwen did not know because the Zhong family's advanced stage 7th grade alchemist was directly under the command of the alchemist hall master. The Zhong family was very big and there were many restrictions set up inside. These restrictions were all aimed at soul power, so Ningyu did not dare to use too much of his soul power. He could only use it 3 meters away from his body. Relatively speaking, Hong Mo did not have these restrictions. He was a spiritual body and what he used was not soul power. Therefore, the Zhong family's soul power restriction did not have any effect on him. Crack. 10 minutes later, Hong Mo landed in front of a luxurious room. Ning. Feeling the strong aura emanating from the room, Hong Mo wanted to communicate with Ning Yu. However, before he could say anything, he forcefully swallowed it back down his throat. Although the aura emanating from the room was stronger, Hong Mo could tell that the martial artist in the room had not reached the yin-yang realm. At most, he was at the peak of the primal core realm. With Hong Mo's strength, he was not afraid of a peak of the primal core realm martial artists. Therefore, Hong Mo dismissed the idea of informing Ning Yu. Taking a deep breath, Hong Mo stabbed out with his sword. Suddenly, a strong sword ray appeared and blasted towards the door. Inside the room, Lynk was refining pills. In order to break through the ivory tower, the alchemist hall sent out a total of 3 alchemists. Peak 7th grade alchemist, Zun Jianwen, late 7th grade alchemist, Xu Jinfu, middle 7th grade alchemist, Link. In this plan, the 3 of them had different roles, but they were equally important. Zun Jianwen was in charge of refining the body explosion pill. The body explosion pill was the key pill to blow up the entrance of the ivory tower. Xu Jinfu was in charge of refining the inner demon pill to control the higher-ups of Ivory City. Link, on the other hand, was in charge of refining the improved spirit pill, a level 5 spirit pill. The elixir consumed by the dozens of true martial realm martial artists outside was the 5th grade nether pill refined by Link. With Link's status as a mid-level level 7 alchemist, he could basically mass-produce level 5 soul pills. The entire room was filled with hundreds of jade bottles of various sizes, and each jade bottle contained more than 10 nether spirit pills. I've refined a total of 180 bottles of 5th grade dark spirit pills, and I still need the last 20. Not good. After concocting another batch of spirit pills, Link glanced at the jade bottles around him. Just as he was about to relax, his expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly retreated. Kacha. Boom. Not long after Link retreated, he heard a cracking sound, and then a sword blasted towards the place where he had just been, directly causing the ground to cave in. Hiss. Such a powerful attack caused Link to suck in a breath of cold air. At the same time, he was very glad that if he had not retreated in time, he would have been smashed into meat paste. Damn it. What the hell is Zhongbin doing? Link's first thought was not to fight with the Red Devil, but to curse Zhongbin. With Link's soul perception, he could naturally vaguely determine that the Red Devil was in the late primal core stage. The late primal core stage was not enough to pose a fatal threat to him. The only thing that surprised Link was the red flying sword in the Red Devil's hand. From the red flying sword, he felt a strong and terrifying aura. King-level flying sword. Almost instantly, Link judged that the Red Devil's level had reached the King level. The King-level flying sword was enough to make Link attach great importance to it. I have to say, you are very brave, very brave. Link's expression was solemn, and he said in a low voice, "Give me the flying sword in your hand, and I can spare your life." Have you lost your mind? The Red Devil seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. The corners of his mouth curled up, and he said coldly, "With your peak primal core stage cultivation, you want to kill me? Whether I can kill you or not, I will only know after I try." With a cold snort, Link suddenly flicked his sleeves, and in an instant, a cold light shot out towards the Red Devil. Facing the cold light that was coming towards him, the Red Devil waved the flying sword in his hand, and the sword light scattered in all directions, instantly shattering the cold light that Link had thrown out. Swoosh. After the attack, the Red Devil did not retreat, but instead moved forward, controlling the Red Devil sword to attack Link. Ha ha, Link laughed evilly, and immediately, the mid-stage 7th grade soul power in his body poured out, unscrupulously suppressing the Red Devil. It seems that I have wronged Zhongbin. If it were not for him, I would not have gotten this King-level flying sword. Link seemed to see the King-level flying sword waving at him, and his face was already full of smiles. The next moment, Link's smile froze on his face, and he even revealed a look of horror. "Thank you for your soul power." The Red Devil raised his eyebrows and controlled the Red Devil's sword to erupt with a strong suction force. Under Link's horrified expression, the sword frantically swallowed his soul power. Damn it! Link cursed under his breath, and with a thought, he quickly withdrew the rest of his soul power. However, his reaction was obviously half a beat too slow, causing a third of the mid-stage 7th grade soul power to be swallowed. The strength of the mid-stage 7th grade soul power is not bad. Sticking out his tongue and licking his lips, the Red Devil planned to tell Ningyu this good news. Right now, Ningyu's soul power was at the mid-stage 5th grade soul power. If he could completely devour the soul power of the warrior in front of him, he could at least advance to the late-stage 5th grade soul power, or even the peak of 5th grade soul power. In any case, the warrior in front of him was from the Yin Corpse sect, so it would be a waste not to devour his soul power. A devouring flying sword. This flying sword is actually a devouring flying sword. Link's heart was bleeding. Due to his carelessness, he had instantly lost a third of his soul power. He made up his mind that no matter what, he must obtain this red flying sword. You have completely angered me. There is only one ending for those who anger me. Taking a step back, Link waved his hand and put the jade bottle on the ground into his storage bag. Then, he coldly said, "That is death." The moment the word death fell, Link raised his speed to the limit and rushed towards the Red Devil. How can you be my opponent after losing a third of your soul power? Originally, the Red Devil wanted to tell this news to Ningyu, but now he changed his mind. He planned to first kill the warrior in front of him and then devour his soul power. Chapter 374. Link. Even if I don't use my soul power, I can easily kill you. Link appeared beside the Red Devil in the blink of an eye. He snorted coldly and then punched with a violent gust of wind. It landed squarely on the Red Devil's chest. After image. As soon as Link's fist came into contact with the Red Devil's body, he realized that something was wrong. This was because his fist had actually pierced through the Red Devil's chest. Hehe, your speed isn't very fast either. At the same time, the Red Devil, who had already appeared behind Link, smiled and stabbed the flying sword in his hand at Link's back. Puff. As the Red Devil's sword was extremely fast, Link didn't have time to react. The sound of the flying sword stabbing into the flesh rang out in the room. The Red Devil didn't plan to stop after his attack. He pulled out the Red Devil's sword and swept it at Link's neck. Hit the snake where it hurts, don't hold back. The Red Devil knew that the people of the Corpse Yin sect were all extremely cunning. If they were given a chance, they might fail miserably. Therefore, the Red Devil decided to kill the warrior in front of him first. Damn it! At the critical moment, Link cursed and hurriedly lowered his head. Swish. Fortunately, Link dodged in time. Otherwise, the Red Devil's sword would have separated his head from his body. Run. Although he had dodged the Red Devil's fatal blow, Link knew that he was no match for the Red Devil. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was to escape. Escape as soon as possible. As the saying goes, where there's life, there's hope. This sentence was the true portrayal of Link's heart at this moment. However, how could the Red Devil give him the chance to escape? In the next moment, the Red Devil's figure flashed and directly entered the Red Devil's sword, fusing with it. What? You're a spirit body. Seeing the Red Devil fuse with the flying sword, Link's eyes widened and his face was filled with confusion. He knew that the red flying sword was a king-level magic treasure, but he didn't expect the man in red to be a spirit body. The spirit body of a king-level flying sword was far from what he could match. At this moment, Link felt a little regretful. He regretted not escaping immediately. If he had run away immediately, he would still have had a chance of survival. But now, his chances of survival were extremely slim. Even if I die, I'll drag someone down with me. Link gritted his teeth and took out his golden core. Buzz. Lynk's golden core was not very big, it was only the size of a fist. However, his golden core contained violent yuan qi, and there were even traces of soul power fluctuations. Go. With a low grunt, Link controlled the golden core to attack the Red Devil. Just in time. Faced with the approaching golden core, the Red Fiend was delighted instead of angry. He suddenly sped up, causing the red fiend sword to stab at Lynk's golden core. Poochie. The speed of the red demon sword was very fast. It seemed to reach Lynk's golden elixir in an instant and ruthlessly stabbed into it. Devour. As soon as the red fiend sword pierced into Lynk's golden core, the red fiend controlled it to unleash a powerful devouring force. It frantically devoured Lynk's essence energy and weak soul power. Just you wait. I'll take back everything that I've lost in a while. Lynk seized the opportunity when the red demon sword devoured the golden core and immediately leaped up. He did not hesitate to burn his blood essence to increase his speed. This was a huge calamity for Lynk. If he could survive it, he could even try to advance to the yin-yang realm. Of course, abandoning the golden core would at least reduce Lynk's strength by several times. It could be said that, apart from his speed, even an early-stage Carnate Realm warrior could easily kill him in terms of martial arts. Ningyu, come here quickly. There's a mid-stage 7th grade alchemist here. Seeing Lynk escape, the red fiend cursed under his breath and immediately informed Ningyu. He was controlling the red demon sword to devour the yuan qi in the golden core, so he naturally had no time to care about Lynk. The red fiend knew that he could not let Lynk escape. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Bam! However, just as the red fiend was worrying about Lynk's escape, a crisp voice sounded from outside the door. Immediately after, a figure fell into the room and landed heavily on the ground. Ningyu. The red fiend looked at the twitching figure on the ground and then at the martial artist who slowly appeared at the door. He said in surprise, "How did you get here so fast?" "I searched that direction and didn't find any yin-yang realm martial artists, so I rushed over here." After entering the room, Ningyu shrugged, then pointed at Lynk on the ground and said, "I just happened to run into this injured corpse yin sect martial artist. Since I ran into him, only death awaits him. Don't kill me. I can tell you the corpse yin sect's plan. I can tell you the whole plan." After losing his golden core, his soul force was devoured by a third, and now he was seriously injured by Ningyu. Lynk was trembling. In the face of death, he gave up his dignity and began to beg for mercy. "I already know the corpse yin sect's plan. There's no need for you to tell me." Ningyu said lightly. "No, there's one thing you definitely don't know. In the whole plan, only 3 people know about it. One is me, and the other is the alchemist temple master, and the other one is Shu Jinfu." Lynk said hurriedly. "Who is Shu Jinfu?" Ningyu frowned. Shu Jinfu is a 7th grade alchemist at the late stage. He is ranked high in the alchemist temple. Lynk didn't dare to neglect and said, "The alchemist temple master asked Shu Jinfu to refine the demons of Heartpill in order to control the higher-ups of Ivory City. Although the plan to attack Ivory City is relatively perfect, it is very likely that there will be some mistakes, so the alchemist temple master has made 2 plans. It will be great if the attack succeeds, but if it fails, the demons of Heartpill refined by Shu Jinfu will play a vital role. The alchemist temple master wants to use the demons of Heartpill to control the higher-ups of Ivory City and wait for an opportunity to launch a second sneak attack." Hiss. Hearing Lynk's words, Ningyu couldn't help but gasp. Not to mention whether what Lynk said was true or not, the idea itself was crazy. No matter whether it succeeded or not, the corpse yin sect would be the biggest winner. It seems that the 7th grade alchemist Zun Jianwen mentioned is Shu Jinfu. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu said again, "Do you know where Shu Jinfu is? Why didn't I find him in the Zhong family? You must promise to let me live, otherwise I won't tell you." Lynk chose to keep silent. "You have no right to bargain." Ningyu's face turned cold, and the primordial qi in his body poured out and gathered on his wrist. Taking a step forward, Ningyu raised his palm and was about to chop off Lynk's head. "I'll tell you." Chapter 375. His cultivation base skyrocketed. "Tell me, where is the Zhong family's forbidden area?" Ningyu asked again. This time, Lynk did not answer directly. Instead, he shook his head and said, "Only Zhong Bin knows where the Zhong family's forbidden area is. I don't know. Moreover, even if you can find the Zhong family's forbidden area, You won't be able to enter. That's because the key to the forbidden area is in Jongbin's hands. Noisy. As soon as Lwenk finished speaking, Ningyu gripped the soul-severing sword in his hand and charged forward with both feet on the ground. Poochie. The soul-severing sword gradually enlarged in Lwenk's eyes, and in the end, it pierced right into his heart. The sound of a flying sword piercing into flesh rang out. Lwenk's eyes widened, and then his eyes rolled back as he lost consciousness. Phew. At this moment, the Red Devil let out a long breath and rushed out from the Red Devil sword. Looking at the dead Lynk, the Red Devil frowned and said, Ningyu, I was still thinking of devouring his mid-7th grade soul power. If you kill him, won't your soul power dissipate as well? Hehe, I won't kill him so easily. With a faint smile, Ningyu said, if I'm not wrong, his soul power is now completely holed up in his sea of consciousness, trying to deceive everyone. That's not good. Hearing this, the Red Devil's expression changed. Once again, he fused with the Red Devil sword and entered Lwenk's sea of consciousness. Oh, he's really hiding here. After entering Lwenk's sea of consciousness, the Red Devil immediately discovered the soul power that was holed up in a corner. He was very familiar with this soul power. It was the remaining 2/3 of Lynk's soul power. Devour. With a low roar, the Red Devil unleashed the Red Devil sword's devouring power to the extreme, frantically devouring Lynk's remaining soul power. Buzz buzz. The Red Devil sword's devouring power was indeed powerful. In a short span of 10 minutes, it had completely devoured the remaining soul power of Lynk. Poochie. Then, the Red Devil flew out of Link's mind and transformed into a human. Not bad, it's a 7th grade middle stage soul power. If I devour it, my soul power will likely advance to the 5th grade middle stage. Ningyu nodded in satisfaction as he felt the pure soul power within the Red Demon sword. Ningyu, why don't you devour the soul force in the Red Fiend sword first? I'll protect you, said the Red Fiend. It will take me about 30 minutes to devour all these souls. After thinking about it, Ningyu said, go out and help Hu Qingchen and the others. I'm afraid they won't be able to hold on for 2 hours. But the Red Devil still wanted to say something, but seeing Ningyu's expression, he didn't say anything in the end. Instead, his figure flashed as he rushed towards the Zhong family's door. Suck. After the Red Fiend disappeared, Ningyu looked at the Red Fiend sword in his hand, took a deep breath, and sat down cross-legged. Ningyu didn't waste any time. He directly sent half of his soul power into the Red Fiend sword and began to devour the pure soul power within. Link was a level 7 intermediate stage alchemist, and the strength of his soul power had reached level 7 intermediate stage. With the strength of Ningyu's soul power of level 5 intermediate stage, if he completely devoured Link's soul power, his soul power would easily advance to level 5 advanced stage. The reason why Ningyu only used half of his soul power into the Red Fiend sword was because he wanted to refine the red spirit fruit. After killing Gui Ningyu found 2 crimson spirit fruits from Gui storage pouch. The red spirit fruit was a level 7 pinnacle stage fruit. It could allow a primal core stage warrior to advance by 1 stage unconditionally. Ningyu was in the true martial realm. He was very much looking forward to refining the red spirit fruit to see what level he could advance to. With a flick of his wrist, Ningyu took out a red spirit fruit and put it in his mouth. Swish. The red spirit fruit was indeed a level 7 pinnacle stage fruit. It melted in his mouth. Traces of the crimson spirit fruit's medicinal liquid flowed from his throat into Ningyu's stomach, giving Ningyu an extremely comfortable feeling. This feeling was as if he was bathing in a rich essence qi. Enter my sea of knowledge. In the next moment, Ningyu operated the spiritual art and transferred the medicinal liquid of the red spirit fruit into his sea of knowledge. In his sea of knowledge, the 4 illusory golden dons saw the red spirit fruit's medicinal liquid. They were like hungry wolves that had encountered a small white rabbit. Bang! 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 About 10 minutes later, 4 muffled sounds rang out. Late stage true martial realm. Sinking his mind into his sea of knowledge, Ningyu saw the transformation of the 4 illusory golden dons. His mouth was agape, revealing a look of disbelief. Originally, he thought that although a red spirit fruit could allow him to advance to late-stage true martial realm, it would not be so easy. In just 10 minutes, he had advanced from the true martial realm middle stage to late stage true martial realm. This speed was really terrifying. Why don't I swallow the last red spirit fruit into my stomach? At this moment, a bold idea emerged in Ningyu's mind. If a red spirit fruit could allow him to advance to late stage true martial realm, then 2 red spirit fruits could very likely allow him to advance to peak true martial realm. No, I have just advanced to late stage true martial realm, and my cultivation has not stabilized. I should wait for a while before consuming the last red spirit fruit. Ningyu resisted the strong temptation of advancing his cultivation and did not take out the second red spirit fruit. Crack! Suddenly, a clear cracking sound rang out. Hearing this cracking sound, Ningyu's eyes widened again, and his mouth opened wide enough to fit a fist. Swoosh! A cold light swept out from the red demon sword and instantly entered Ningyu's body. Late stage 5th grade soul force? The cold light that had entered Ningyu's body was none other than soul force. To be precise, it was late stage 5th grade soul force. In other words, Ningyu's soul force had advanced to late stage 5th grade soul force. In a short period of time, Ningyu's soul force had advanced to late stage 5th grade soul force, and his cultivation had advanced to late stage true martial realm. Even the most heaven-defying genius of the Great Xia Kingdom could not achieve such a speed of advancement. Solitaire. With his soul force and cultivation advancing to late stage 5th grade soul force, Ningyu immediately waved the red demon sword and slashed out a sword wave. Kai kai kai. The sword wave slashed out at lightning speed, and the friction with the air produced a sizzling sound. Boom. In the next moment, the sword wave suddenly exploded, and the aftermath of the explosion spread out in all directions. Such a powerful explosion caused Ningyu to reveal a look of ecstasy. With my current strength, I should be able to contend with early-stage yin-yang realm martial artists. If I use my trump card, I can even kill them. Keeping the red demon sword, Ningyu went straight to Lynk's side and extended his palm to feel Lynk's body. After a while, Ningyu retracted his palm. In his hand, there was a storage bag and a token that represented his identity. Ningyu first threw the token into the storage ring, and then his soul force quietly entered the storage bag. So many ghost pills. As soon as his soul force entered the storage bag, Ningyu found more than 100 jade bottles in the storage bag. Chapter 376. Submit to me so many ghost pills. It seems that the Corpse Yin sect not only wants to control the higher-ups of Ivory City, but also wants to build an underground force in Ivory City. Lynk said that the Alchemist Hall had sent 3 alchemists this time. Among them, Zun Jianwen refined the body explosion pill in order to break through the entrance of the ivory tower. Xu Jinfu was responsible for refining the inner demon pill to control the higher-ups of Ivory City. It was very likely that Lynk wanted to build an underground force in Ivory City by refining this special ghost pill, because only in this way, when the Corpse Yin sect attacked Ivory City for the second time, they could cooperate with each other and easily break through Ivory City. No, I must find Xu Jinfu as soon as possible. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu put the storage bag into his storage ring, and then flew toward the Zhong family's door. If he wanted to find Xu Jinfu, he must find the Zhong family's forbidden area, which was only known by Zhong Bin, and the key to the forbidden area was in Zhong Bin's hands. In addition, the Red Devil and Hu Qingchen were fighting with Zhong Bin, so it was reasonable for Ningyu to go and help. Poochie. At the same time, in front of the Zhong family's door, Zhong Bin seized a flaw in Hu Qingchen's defense and punched him in the chest. The intense pain from his chest caused Hu Qingchen to feel a sweetness in his throat as he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Humph. I have already said that a group of trash like you is no match for me. After defeating Hu Qingchen, Zhong Bin snorted coldly and was about to enter the Zhong family. In Zhong Bin's view, Xu Jinfu's safety could not be lost. Although he didn't know what kind of pill Xu Jinfu was refining, he could tell from Xu Jinfu's expression that it must be very important. Swish. However, just as Zhong Bin moved his feet, a red afterimage appeared in the air and blocked his path. You also want to stop me? Looking at the martial artist in red who suddenly appeared in front of him, Zhong Bin's face suddenly became gloomy, and he said coldly, Even Hu Qingchen, who is at the early stage of yin-yang realm, is no match for me, and you are no match for me. As soon as the word no fell, Zhong Bin's eyes became cold, and as he waved his sleeve, a sharp cold light appeared and attacked the martial artist in red in front of him. Red Demon Slash. The man in red was none other than the Red Fiend. In the beginning, Hu Qingchen and the two peak primal core stage warriors dealt with Zhong Bin. Hong Mo did not join the battle, but worked with Sun Xing and the others to encircle the remaining Zhong family warriors. Who would have thought that Hu Qingchen and the others would not be able to persist for too long before they were defeated? Helpless, the Red Fiend could only brace himself to resist Zhong Bin. The Red Fiend knew that Ning Yu was devouring the soul force of the Zhong family. At this time, he must not be disturbed, or the consequences would be unimaginable. Hong Mo's eyes turned cold as a small red flying sword suddenly appeared in his hand. He quickly slashed out a terrifying sword beam. Kai Kai. The sword light and the cold light collided as a Kai Kai sound rang out. Hong Mo's expression changed as he stomped on the ground and retreated. Because at the moment when the two collided, the sword ray that he sent out was dispersed, and Zhong Bin's cold ray was still attacking him vigorously. Damn it! Cursing inwardly, Hong Mo's expression turned ugly. The small red flying sword was not the Red Fiend's original body. It was just an illusion. Now that the Red Fiend was with Ning Yu, without the support of the Red Fiend, the power of his sword ray would be reduced by at least half. Gritting his teeth, the Red Fiend waved the small flying sword in his hand again and continuously slashed out sword rays, continuously colliding with Zhong Bin's cold ray. Kai 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 Kai. Zhong Bin was indeed a peak early yin-yang stage warrior. The cold ray that he attacked was so powerful that it was only after the Red Fiend slashed out the 10th sword ray that it completely dispersed. Hihi, you have to use all your strength to block a casual attack of mine. What do you have to fight me with? Zhong Bin said with a smile. Is that so? Just as Zhong Bin finished his sentence, a voice came from the courtyard of the Zhong family. As the voice rang out, a slightly thin figure slowly walked out from the courtyard. Zhong Bin, you said that Hong Mo does not have the ability to fight you. What if I join in? The thin figure came to stand beside Hong Mo and smiled at Zhong Bin. Ning Yu. Looking at the familiar figure in front of him, Zhong Bin was slightly startled at first, but then he revealed a happy expression. Originally, he was worried that Xu Jinfu would be in danger. Now that he saw Ning Yu, he was relieved. Xu Jinfu was in the forbidden area. If Ning Yu entered the Zhong family, he would definitely not be able to find Xu Jinfu. If you had escaped from the Zhong family, I would not have been able to do anything to you. Since you have delivered yourself to me, I can only kill you. Zhong Bin's lips curled up as he said gloomily. You want to kill me? That depends on whether you have the ability or not. With a cold smile, Ning Yu flicked his sleeve, and suddenly, a token flew towards Zhong Bin. Pa. Catching the token, Zhong Bin's face instantly turned gloomy. On the token, there were two large blood-red words, Link. Crack crack. Zhong Bin clenched his fists so hard that cracking sounds could be heard. He said gloomily, Where did you get this token? Shrugging, Ning Yu said, Where else could I get it from? Of course, it's from the Zhong family. Oh, right, I forgot to tell you, the owner of this token has already been killed by me. Now, not even a hair is left. You. Zhong Bin's chest heaved up and down. He was on the verge of exploding in anger. Although Link was not as good as Xu Jinfu, he was still a 7th grade mid-stage alchemist. His status in the Corpse Yin sect was very high. Now that Link had died in the Zhong family, how could he explain it to the Alchemist Temple Lord? Even if the Alchemist Temple Lord was willing to listen to his explanation, Link's friend would not let him go. The only thing he could do now was to capture Ning Yu and push all the blame onto Ning Yu. Only then would he have a chance to survive. Hong Mo, you go deal with the rest of the Zhong family's experts. As for Zhong Bin, leave him to me. Ning Yu waved his hand and said to Hong Mo ever since his martial arts cultivation and soul power had both advanced to the 5th grade late stage, Ning Yu's strength had made great progress. He could fight and even kill an early stage yin-yang stage martial artist. Moreover, the Zhong family's experts were not just for show. The two peak primal core stage martial artists each had the combat power of a half-step yin-yang stage martial artist. If not for the slight advantage in numbers, Sun Xing and the others would not have been able to hold on. Then you be careful. Hong Mo knew that he would only cause trouble for Ningyu if he stayed, so he did not hesitate and directly joined the battle on Sun Xing's side. Hu Qingchen and the two peak primal core stage martial artists had basically lost their combat power due to Zhong Bin's heavy attacks. They could only pray that Ningyu would win. Ningyu, I originally wanted to kill you, but now I've changed my mind. At this critical moment, Zhong Bin was surprisingly calm, so calm that it was somewhat scary. He raised his eyebrows and said lightly, I'll give you a chance. Obediently surrender to me, and I can still spare your life. Zhong Bin, don't tell me you've lost your mind. Chapter 377. Zhong Bin, you want me to submit to you? Are you worthy? When Ningyu's arrogant words fell, all the cultivators in the area were dumbfounded. Everyone looked at Ningyu in astonishment. The expressions on their faces were very interesting. Gulp. Someone swallowed a mouthful of saliva. The originally quiet area gradually became noisy. Isn't Ningyu a little too bold? I think so too. The opponent is Zhong Bin, a martial artist at the peak of the early yin-yang realm. Does Ningyu think he can defeat Zhong Bin? Defeat Zhong Bin? Hee, don't talk nonsense. If Ningyu can defeat Zhong Bin, I'll twist my head off and let you use it as a chamber pot. One is in the true martial realm, and the other is in the yin-yang realm. The difference in strength between the two is like heaven and earth. There is no comparison at all. This time, all the martial artists had the same thought. They all thought that Ningyu would lose without a doubt. There was no possibility of him winning. A true martial realm martial artist defeated a yin-yang realm martial artist. It could only exist in one's imagination. Reality was reality. Soon, I'll let you know if I'm worthy or not. Zhong Bin's eyes flashed. He raised his right hand and pointed at Ningyu. Not good. The moment Zhong Bin raised his right hand, Ningyu realized something was wrong and immediately retreated backward. Kacha. Sure enough, as soon as Ningyu disappeared, the space where he had been standing suddenly exploded, revealing a small whirlpool. A king-grade spatial magic treasure really isn't simple. With a serious look in his eyes, Ningyu knew that he had to give it his all. Otherwise, he might fail miserably. Zhong Bin, who was at the peak of the early yin-yang realm, was not scary. What was scary was a magic treasure that could control space. It could be said that as long as Zhong Bin had sufficient yuan qi and soul force, he could use spatial treasures without fear. I have to think of a way. While shuttling back and forth in this area, Ningyu's mind was spinning rapidly, thinking of countermeasures. Hee, I already said that Ningyu is not Zhong Bin's opponent. You still don't believe me? Look, Ningyu is like a stray dog now. Ningyu's cultivation is too low, he is only in the true martial realm. If he were to advance to the Yuandan realm, he might be able to contend with Zhong Bin. After all, he is a core disciple of Danwu College's sacred courtyard. Origin core stage? You're overestimating Ningyu too much. In my opinion, even if he advanced to the origin core stage, it would still be impossible for him to be Zhong Bin's match. Don't be too sure. Let's wait and see. No one was optimistic about Ningyu in the first place. Now that Ningyu was at a complete disadvantage, everyone was even more pessimistic about Ningyu. Although there were a few cultivators who spoke up for Ningyu, they were quickly drowned in the sea of saliva from the crowd. Zhong Bin, there are too many people here. We can't display our full strength. Let's go to the Zhong family and fight. Just as everyone was discussing spiritedly, Ningyu's heart moved. While fleeing towards the Zhong family, he shouted to Zhong Bin in a low voice, "If you have the guts, come over here." Swoosh. Ningyu's speed was very fast. Almost in an instant, he disappeared from everyone's sight and entered the Zhong family. Seeing Ningyu enter the Zhong family, Zhong Bin was slightly surprised. Without thinking too much, he rose from the ground and chased after him. In Zhong Bin's heart, he firmly believed that in the face of absolute strength, any tricks and schemes were useless. Ningyu escaped. He can't escape. I guess in less than 10 minutes, Jongbin will kill him. TSK, Ningyu is a core disciple of Danwu College's sacred courtyard. If he is killed here, Danwu College will definitely not let this matter go. So what if they won't let this matter go? Today, Ningyu broke into the Zhong family first. He was unreasonable first. Jongbin has already given Danwu College enough face by keeping him alive until now. Once Jongbin is free, Hu Qingchen and the rest will also be eliminated. Seeing Ningyu and Jongbin fly into the Zhong family, everyone began to discuss again. However, they only talked about it and did not dare to follow them into the Zhong family. In Ivory City, martial artists who trespassed into the Zhong family without permission had never had a good ending. In the past, there was a mid-primal core martial artist who entered the Zhong family regardless of the obstruction. At that time, he was beheaded by the Zhong family and hung on the gate of Ivory City for 3 days and 3 nights. Since then, no one had ever dared to trespass into the Zhong family. Of course, today's Ningyu was an exception. Swoosh. In the courtyard of the Zhong family, Ningyu stopped in place with a swoosh. At the same time, Ningyu cupped his fists and stared at Jongbin with interest. Being stared at by Ningyu, Jongbin felt a little numb all over his body. It felt like he was being stared at by a poisonous snake. Jongbin, I know you have a magical item that can control space. As long as you take it out, I will promise to surrender to you, Ningyu said. Are you lying to a child? Jongbin said coldly, no matter what you say today, I will not be fooled by you. Then, Jongbin quickly raised his hands and kept moving in front of him. Crack, crack, crack. Every time Jongbin's fingers moved, the space around Ningyu would explode once. Damn it. Cursing, Ningyu quietly put the quenching pill furnace in his cuff. Then, with the primal chi under his feet, he rushed toward Jongbin at an extremely shocking speed. Ningyu's movements were extremely covert, so covert that Jongbin did not notice any clues. He thought that Ningyu was going to fight him to the death, so his fingers moved even faster. Jongbin, have a taste of Gui Er's stuff. In the next moment, the corner of Ningyu's mouth rose. With a flick of his cuff, the quenching pill furnace flew out and rushed toward Jongbin. Pill furnace? Looking at the pill furnace that was approaching him, Jongbin frowned slightly, very puzzled. Ningyu was about to be killed, how could he still have the guts to fight back? Fighting back was one thing, but not only did he not use force, but he also threw away the pill furnace. Not good. However, just as Jongbin was about to mock Ningyu, his expression changed greatly. Boom. In an instant, the quenching pill furnace exploded in front of him. Swoosh. Swoosh. The pill furnace exploded, and suddenly, 2 cold lights swept out, rushing toward Jongbin at an extremely shocking speed. Dead spirit chi. The moment the cold lights flew out, Jongbin realized that he had been careless. He had come into contact with Gui Er from the Ghost Talent Palace and knew that Gui Er had 2 cold lights of dead spirit chi. Now that Gui Er was killed, there was a high possibility that his cold lights of dead spirit chi had fallen into the hands of Ningyu. Jongbin, don't you think it's a little too late to react now? While Jongbin was still in a daze, 2 cold beams of dead spirit chi had already arrived in front of his body. Moreover, under his terrified expression, 1 beam of dead spirit chi blasted his right arm, and the other beam of dead spirit chi blasted his chest. Kai Kai. The dead spirit chi had an extremely strong corrosive power. As soon as it touched Jongbin's arm, the skin on Jongbin's arm began to sizzle. Ningyu, you will die a horrible death. Jongbin cursed angrily. He quickly raised his left hand, and with a crack, he chopped off his right arm. Chapter 378. Crippling Solitaire. I'll take your life while you're down. Just as Jongbin was flustered by the cold aura in his chest, Ningyu's eyes narrowed. He immediately took out the red demon sword and waved it repeatedly. In an instant, a shocking sword wave swept out from the red demon sword and rushed toward Jongbin. Kai Kai. The sword wave was so fast that Jongbin didn't even have time to react before the sword wave arrived in front of him. Then, the sword wave gradually expanded in Jongbin's pupils, and without any deviation, it just happened to slash his chest. Bang! The huge force coming from his chest made Jongbin's throat taste sweet, and he spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. With a plop, Jongbin fell heavily to the ground. Ah! At the same time, the cold aura in Jongbin's chest entered his body and wreaked havoc in his internal organs. A miserable scream came out, and Jongbin's face was distorted to the extreme. Jongbin, I'll give you a chance. Seeing that Jongbin had basically lost the ability to fight, Ningyu waved his hand and directly retrieved the quenching furnace and put it into his storage ring. Holding the red demon sword in his hand, Ningyu slowly walked toward Jongbin. Tap, tap, tap. Ningyu walked very slowly, and every step he took was heavy on the ground. Every sound left a trace of a mark in Jongbin's heart. In the end, Jongbin almost went crazy. Whoosh! 3 minutes later, Ningyu came to Jongbin's side. He swung the red demon sword in his hand and placed it on Jongbin's neck. Tell me where the Zhong family's forbidden area is, and I can spare your life. You want me to tell you where the Zhong family's forbidden area is? Dream on. Although he was on the verge of going crazy, there was always a voice in Jongbin's mind warning him not to betray Shu Jinfu, and not to offend the corpse sect. If he offended Ningyu, the worst that could happen was death, but if he offended the corpse sect, they would make his life worse than death. Hihi, you don't want to tell me? With a smirk, Ningyu exerted a little force with the red demon sword in his hand and cut open the skin on Jongbin's neck. Streams of blood flowed down Jongbin's neck and dripped onto the red demon sword. Kai! Jongbin's blood had just dripped onto the red demon sword when it evaporated into nothingness, as if it had dripped onto a hot soldering iron. Humph! Even if you kill me, I won't tell you. The blood flowing from his neck made Jongbin sober up. After he sobered up, he was even more determined to not betray Shu Jinfu and the corpse sect. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Hearing Jongbin's words, Ningyu withdrew the red demon sword and kicked Jongbin out of the Zhong family's courtyard. Outside the gates of the Zhong family, with the addition of the Red Fiend, Sun Xing and the others quickly gained the upper hand. However, after losing Hu Qingchen and 2 peak primal core stage practitioners, Sun Xing and the rest could only gain the upper hand, and were unable to wipe out all the Zhong family practitioners in one fell swoop. Both sides fought for 5 minutes, and there were casualties on both sides. At this moment, a figure flew out of the Zhong family's courtyard, attracting everyone's attention. It's Jongbin. A sharp-eyed martial artist recognized the identity of the martial artist who flew out at a glance. He, I said that Jongbin wouldn't need 10 minutes to defeat Ningyu. Only 5 minutes have passed. Another martial artist laughed evilly. Yes, but to be able to last 5 minutes in the hands of Jongbin, Ningyu is also good enough. What? However, before this martial artist could finish his sentence, his mouth opened slightly, and an incredulous expression appeared on his face. Bang! With a loud bang, Jongbin fell to the ground like a dead dog. Silence. Silence. Deathly silence. The sudden change caused all the martial artists present to widen their eyes and open their mouths slightly. Their pupils revealed a look of horror. What the hell was going on? Why was Jongbin, who was at the peak of the early yin-yang stage, lying on the ground like a dead dog? Where was Ningyu, and where was Ningyu? A series of questions appeared on everyone's faces. Sho. Subsequently, a figure slowly walked out of the Zhong family's courtyard. Looking at the figure that walked out, everyone's eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. The expressions on their faces were as interesting as it could be. He is Ningyu. Not long after, a martial artist in the true martial realm stared at Ningyu and hesitated. It's Ningyu. Next to the martial artist in the true martial realm, a martial artist in the primal core stage swallowed his saliva and said, It's actually Ningyu. Isn't this too unbelievable? Could it be that Ningyu defeated Jongbin? I don't believe it. This is impossible. I don't believe it either. It can't be Ningyu. All the martial artists around shook their heads and unanimously denied that the martial artist who walked out of the Zhong family was Ningyu. They thought that this martial artist only looked a little like Ningyu. However, what Ningyu said next made them directly dumbfounded. They saw Ningyu standing in front of Jongbin and stepping on his head. His eyes swept across the Zhong family's martial artists and coldly said, "Whoever says where the Zhong family's forbidden area is, I can spare his life." Hua la. With Ning Yu's actions and Ning Yu's words, everyone finally concluded that the martial artist in front of them was Ning Yu. It's really Ning Yu, and he even defeated Zhong Bin, who just said that if Ning Yu defeated Zhong Bin, he would turn his head and let me use it as a chamber pot. I don't need a chamber pot, I just need a bench. This world is too crazy. Ning Yu, who is in the middle stage of the true martial realm, can actually defeat Zhong Bin, who is in the early stage of the yin-yang realm? You're out of your mind. Ning Yu is not in the middle stage of the true martial realm, but in the late stage of the true martial realm. Following the last martial artist's finger, everyone looked at Ning Yu. Feeling the aura exuding from Ning Yu's body, they still felt a little incredulous. After all, the late stage of the true martial realm was still far from the early stage of the yin-yang realm. Hehe, since none of you are willing to say, so be it, I will start with Zhong Bin. Shrugging, Ning Yu slightly exerted force on his ankle and pressed down on Zhong Bin's head. Shua. Seeing Ning Yu's action, the Zhong family's martial artists turned their eyes to the only two peak primal core martial artists, hoping that they could make a decision. Being stared at by everyone, Zhong Hao and Zhong Jian's faces were gloomy. They indeed knew where the Zhong family's forbidden area was, but they did not dare to say it because they were afraid of offending the corpse yin sect. As the higher-ups of the Zhong family, they were very clear about the strength of the corpse yin sect. It was because they understood the strength of the corpse yin sect that they did not dare to tell Ning Yu where the Zhong family's forbidden area was, because the late-stage 7th grade alchemist of the corpse yin sect, Shu Jinfu, was in the Zhong family's forbidden area. Not going to say it. Ning Yu raised his foot and suddenly stepped on Zhong Bin's left arm. Catcher. A crisp sound rang out, and immediately, Zhong Bin's left arm was directly broken. At this time, Zhong Bin was fighting with the dead spirit qi in his body. Even though his arm was in severe pain, he could not cry out. Chapter 379. Chapter 379 Inch Her. Seeing that the two peak primal core warriors of the Zhong family were still unmoved, Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and said lightly, "Don't think that I won't dare to do anything to Zhong Bin if you don't say anything. Zhong Bin colluded with the corpse sect, even if I kill him here, no one will say anything. Ning Yu, you have to be responsible for what you said." At this moment, Zhong Jian coldly snorted and said gloomily, "You said that the Zhong family colluded with the corpse sect, what evidence do you have?" "Evidence? You asked me for evidence." Pointing to his nose, Ning Yu said in a deep voice, "Who do you think you are? I am not a thing, no, I am a thing, I am not a thing." Zhong Jian was so angry that he couldn't even speak clearly. Zhong Jian coldly said, "You don't have evidence to say that the Zhong family colluded with the corpse sect. In my opinion, the one who colluded with the corpse sect is you." Swish. Zhong Jian's words set off a great uproar in this area. Ning Yu and the Zhong family both insisted on their own words, saying that the other party colluded with the corpse sect. Who was speaking the truth? I guess the Zhong family colluded with the corpse sect. Recently, the Zhong family's strength has been expanding too fast. It doesn't make sense. I also think it's the Zhong family. The strength of the Zhong family's younger generation is also very strong. They almost dominate Ivory City. You guys are too arbitrary. In my opinion, the one who colluded with the corpse sect is Ning Yu. Ning Yu? Impossible. He is a core disciple of the Sacred Institute of Danwu College. Danwu College has already found out that he colluded with the corpse sect. He, as the saying goes, you can't know a person's heart from his face. Think about it, if Ning Yu didn't collude with the corpse sect, how could he be so strong? Even Zhong Bin, who is at the peak of the early yin-yang realm, is not his opponent. Hearing the words coming from all around, Ning Yu's face became a little gloomy. Suddenly, he rolled his eyes and came up with a countermeasure. The next moment, Ning Yu kicked Zhong Bin's body and kicked him in front of Zhong Jian. Looking at Zhong Bin's ankle, Zhong Jian's face turned ugly. He quickly looked down to check on Zhong Bin's condition. Shio. However, just as Zhong Jian lowered his head, Ning Yu's figure flashed and appeared in front of him in the blink of an eye. Ning Yu, Are you trying to silence me? Zhong Jian was indeed a peak primal core martial artist. He immediately raised his head and berated, "You colluded with the people of the corpse sect to harm the Zhong family. Even if you report this to the capital, you will not be in the right." Ha ha ha. Ning Yu let out a wild laugh. Then his expression changed and he coldly said, "You want to reason with me? Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? A dog of the corpse sect is not qualified to reason with me." Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Yu raised his right foot and kicked Zhong Jian's abdomen. The huge force from his abdomen directly twisted Zhong Jian's face and he fell to the ground. Swish! After defeating Zhong Jian with one blow, Ning Yu quickly swung the red devil sword in his hand and placed it on Zhong Hao's neck. "Take me to the Zhong family's forbidden area." Ning Yu slightly exerted force in his palm and the red devil sword made a slight mark on Zhong Hao's neck. Drops of blood dripped on the red devil sword, making a sizzling sound. "Ning Yu, you colluded with the corpse sect. You are destined to have a bad end." Zhong Hao was indeed a bit tough. Even with the red devil sword on his neck, his expression still did not change. It seems that Ning Yu really colluded with the corpse sect. Otherwise, it would not be like this. That's right, Ning Yu colluded with the corpse sect. Let's leave quickly so that we won't be implicated. Yes, let's leave quickly. It would be best if we could leave Ivory City. Leave? Go where? If I'm not wrong, there must be a lot of people from the corpse sect in Ivory City now. Leaving at this time is tantamount to courting death. Then what should we do? We can't just sit here and wait for death, can we? As long as this expert of the Zhong family takes me to the Zhong family's forbidden area, I will naturally tell you who is colluding with the corpse sect. After taking a deep breath, Ning Yu said in a low voice, "There should be something that you are interested in the Zhong family's forbidden area." Ning Yu's words made the eyes of many martial artists at the scene light up. In Ivory City, there were no more than 5 people who were qualified to enter the Zhong family's forbidden area. Even Zhong Hao and Zhong Jian only knew where the Zhong family's forbidden area was, but they had never entered it. The more mysterious something was, the more people would be interested in it. Therefore, after hearing Ning Yu's words, everyone once again began to talk at once. Maybe the Zhong family's forbidden area is really hiding some shameful secret. No one knows what is in the Zhong family's forbidden area. Zhong Hao, take Ning Yu to the Zhong family's forbidden area. Yes, take Ning Yu to the Zhong family's forbidden area. We want to see how Ning Yu will prove his innocence to us. Damn it. The words of the surrounding martial artists made Zhong Hao's face turn pale. Originally, he thought that by using these people to put pressure on Ning Yu would know the difficulty and back off. Who would have thought that it would backfire and these people would become Ning Yu's help instead? At this critical moment, if he did not take everyone to the Zhong family's forbidden area, he would be in the wrong and feel guilty. At that time, if Ning Yu wanted to kill them, he would get everyone's support. Moreover, these people would even hit him when he was down. Fine. I will take you to the Zhong family's forbidden area. Zhong Hao gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice, "A straight body is not afraid of a crooked shadow. I want to see what tricks you can play today." As he spoke, Zhong Hao took a step forward and entered the Zhong family's residence. Ning Yu winked at the Red Devil and gave him a few words of advice before following closely behind. Crash. Seeing that Ning Yu and Zhong Hao had entered the Zhong family's residence, the remaining martial artists all rushed toward the Zhong family's courtyard. Swoosh. Suddenly, Hong Mo's figure flashed and blocked in front of everyone. I will say the ugly words first. There may be experts from the corpse sect in the Zhong family's forbidden area. If you go in this time, you will not even be able to keep your lives. Hong Mo's voice contained some Yuan energy as he said in a clear voice, therefore, all martial artists whose cultivation has not reached the Yuandan stage better obediently stay here. You. As Hong Mo's voice fell, the expressions of martial artists whose cultivation was below the Yuandan stage slightly changed. However, they knew Hong Mo's battle strength and could only be angry, not daring to say anything. You, and you. As his gaze swept across the crowd of martial artists, Hong Mo pointed at 5 of them and said, "The 5 of you will enter the Zhong family's residence with me. The 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists looked at each other, then rose from the ground and followed Hong Mo into the Zhong family's residence. What? As soon as these Yuan Dan stage martial artists entered the Zhong family's residence, their pupils slightly shrank as extreme shock appeared in their eyes. This was because, in front of them, there were 30 true martial stage martial artists standing side by side. At the very front of these true martial stage martial artists were 2 familiar figures, Zhong Hao and Ning Yu. However, at this moment, Zhong Hao's face no longer had the calm expression from before. Instead, there was a deep sense of fear. Chapter 380. A special Yuan Dan realm martial artist Zhong Hao. Tell them what's going on with these true martial realm martial artists. When he saw Hong Mo leading the 5 origin core stage martial artists in, Ning Yu kicked Zhong Hao's butt, sending him flying far away as he spoke indifferently. These true martial realm martial artists were only at the early Xiantian realm a day ago. Zhong Hao's entire body trembled as he said shakily, the reason why they were able to advance to the true martial realm in a day is because they swallowed a type of elixir. What elixir? Behind Hong Mo, an early primal core realm martial artist asked. Elixir refined by the corpse sect. Zhong Hao seemed to have gone through a huge mental struggle as he said, it's all because Zhong Bin colluded with the corpse sect. It has nothing to do with me. I was forced to do it. Corpse sect. It really is the corpse sect that the Zhong family colluded with. Isn't Zhong Bin too daring? Colluding with the corpse sect is no different from asking a tiger for its skin. When the 5 Yuan Dan realm martial artists heard Zhong Hao's words, their expressions all changed. The corpse sect was the heart demon of almost every great Xia kingdom martial artist. This was because the people of the corpse sect did not follow any rules and were extremely cruel. In order to refine corpse puppets, they would often kill Yuan Dan realm martial artists. None of the martial artists who were targeted by them had a good ending. What did Ning Yu do to Zhong Hao? Why did it make Zhong Hao's attitude change by 180 degrees? The 5 Yuan Dan realm martial artists stared at Ning Yu as this thought appeared in their minds. You might be wondering why Zhong Hao's attitude was different from before. Slowly walking to the back of a true martial realm martial artist, Ning Yu slightly exerted force in his palm and chopped at the neck of the true martial realm martial artist. Catcher. In the next moment, a cracking sound was heard as the true martial realm martial artist's head was chopped off and fell to the ground. Even though his head was chopped off, the true martial realm martial artist was still standing in the same place as if nothing had happened. However, traces of black liquid flowed out from the severed neck. Black blood. Corpse puppet. Seeing this, the faces of the 5 Yuan Dan stage practitioners revealed expressions of extreme shock. As origin core stage practitioners, they naturally knew what black blood meant. An incomplete corpse puppet. If it was a completed corpse puppet, the blood would completely transform and fuse with the body, disappearing without a trace. Since there was still black blood, it meant that this was only the initial stage of the corpse puppet, a half-finished corpse puppet. Crack, crack, crack. Following that, Ning Yu's figure flickered as he shuttled back and forth between the true martial realm martial artists. At the same time, the red demon sword in his hand slashed out repeatedly. With a series of cracking sounds, the right arms of the remaining true martial realm martial artists were all chopped off. All of them are incomplete corpse puppets. Looking at the black blood on the ground, the 5 Yuan Dan practitioners were shocked to the extreme. Zhong Hao, tell me why you betrayed Zhong Bin and the Corpse Yin sect. Just as the Yuan Dan stage martial artist was shocked, Ning Yu waved his hand and said to Zhong Hao, you should be very clear about the consequences of betraying the Corpse sect. The Corpse Yin sect martial artists are all trash. At the mention of the Corpse Yin sect, Zhong Hao gnashed his teeth in anger and fiercely said, they betrayed the agreement and secretly left a trace of Corpse Yin Qi in my knowledge sea. If not for Ning Yu's timely discovery, I would still be in the dark. Corpse Yin Qi. The 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists were shocked. That's right, Corpse Yin Qi. At the mention of the Corpse Yin Qi, Zhong Hao was furious and said, right now, the Corpse Yin Qi is still in my knowledge sea. Zhong Hao, don't complain. As long as you bring me to the Zhong family's forbidden area, I will naturally find a way to expel the corpse yin qi from your knowledge sea. Ningyu's words sounded timely. Hearing Ningyu's words, Zhonghao revealed an expression of gratitude. Swoosh. Immediately after, he tapped the ground with the tip of his foot and quickly rushed toward the Zhong family's forbidden area. Looking at Zhonghao's back, the corner of Ningyu's mouth curled up and his figure flashed as he followed. As for the 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists, they did not dare to follow, and could only stand there quietly. The 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists did not follow, so Hongmo simply stayed behind as well. This was because just now, Ningyu had communicated to him through the soul, telling him that there was something strange about these 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists and that he must keep an eye on them. Hongmo chose to believe Ningyu's words unconditionally. Since Ningyu said there was something strange about them, then there must be something strange about them. Big brother, should we, 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists, 2 in the early stage, 1 in the middle stage, and 2 in the late stage. After Ningyu and Zhonghao left, one of the early stage Yuan Dan stage martial artists whispered, "Don't act rashly, don't forget the purpose of our visit this time." The late stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist's expression did not change as he transmitted his voice to the early stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist. "Big brother, is Ningyu really that strong? Even Zhongbin is no match for him?" The middle stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist frowned. "He is indeed very strong, but Zhongbin is only a peak early stage yin-yang stage martial artist, so it is understandable that he lost to Ningyu." Taking a deep breath, the late stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist said in a low voice, "Don't worry, the thing I brought this time is very special, even a middle stage yin-yang stage martial artist would not be able to withstand it. Doesn't that mean that we can easily capture Ningyu?" The middle stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist's face lit up with joy. Shaking his head, the late stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist said, "We can't make a move in Ivory City. Ivory City is in troubled times now, and our base is not here. The corpse sect is not to be trifled with." Looks like Ningyu was right. There is indeed something strange about you guys. The 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists did not know that their conversation had been completely heard by Hongmo, and not a single word was missed. However, without Ningyu's approval, Hongmo would not act rashly. After all, according to the late stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist, they had something that could make a middle stage yin-yang stage martial artist afraid, and Hongmo's strength was far from reaching the middle stage yin-yang stage. Whoosh. At the same time, on the other side, Zhonghao led Ningyu back and forth in the Zhong family, cleverly avoiding all kinds of soul seals. Finally, they stopped in front of a slightly dimly lit courtyard. "This is the Zhong family's forbidden area?" Ningyu raised his eyebrows and asked doubtfully. "This is not the Zhong family's forbidden area." Zhonghao shook his head. Ningyu was slightly taken aback and said, "If this is not the Zhong family's forbidden area, why did you bring me here?" "Although this is not the Zhong family's forbidden area, it is more important," Zhonghao said in a low voice. "More important?" Ningyu frowned and said, "Shu Jinfu is refining the inner demon pill. If he succeeds, the consequences will be unimaginable. I know this. Believe me, this place is more important than the Zhong family's forbidden area." As he spoke, Zhonghao moved his feet and walked toward the courtyard. Ningyu first released his advanced 5th grade soul force and probed around the courtyard. Very quickly, he retracted his soul force, and his face turned slightly serious. Chapter 381. Chapter 381. Being controlled. After thinking for a moment, Ningyu followed Zhonghao into the courtyard. There was indeed a wisp of corpse yin qi left by a martial artist of the corpse yin sect in Zhonghao's sea of consciousness. At first, Zhonghao did not notice it. If not for Ningyu's reminder, Zhonghao would still be in the dark. However, the wisp of corpse yin qi was weak and far from being enough to kill Zhonghao. It could be said that if Zhonghao wanted to, he could get rid of the corpse yin qi in his sea of consciousness. As for why Zhonghao pretended to be so indignant, Ningyu guessed that someone must have contacted Zhonghao. Otherwise, with Zhonghao's peak primal core cultivation, he would not dare to bring him here. In the Zhong family, could there be a more important place than the Zhong family's forbidden land? Who could fool Zun Jianwen told me that although Shu Jinfu is a 7th grade advanced stage alchemist, his cultivation is only at the early stage of the yin-yang realm. The reason why Ning Yu dared to enter this courtyard was that he had absolute confidence that even if Shu Jinfu suddenly appeared, he could deal with it calmly. Zhong Bin, who was at the peak of the early stage of the yin-yang realm, was defeated by him. Naturally, Shu Jinfu, who was at the early stage of the yin-yang realm, was no match for him. Elder Shu, I brought Ning Yu as you asked. After entering the courtyard, Zhong Hao hurriedly communicated with Shu Jinfu in his mind, please don't kill me. Noisy, hurry up and take Ning Yu to the second room on the left. A powerful voice sounded in Zhong Hao's mind. Hearing this, Zhong Hao did not dare to say more and hurriedly walked to the second room on the left. Wait a minute. However, Zhong Hao had only taken a few steps before Ning Yu stopped him. Stopping where he was, Zhong Hao looked at Ning Yu, who was walking toward him, and asked in confusion, what? Haha, nothing. I just have something to ask you. With a smile, Ning Yu said, you can tell me what is so special about this courtyard and why it is more important than the Zhong family's forbidden land. Zhong Hao's eyes flickered. Finally, he gritted his teeth and pointed to the second room on the left. To tell you the truth, this room is the Zhong family's treasure room. All the Zhong family's treasures are in this room. Is that so? Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and said, in that case, I have to thank you. You don't have to thank me, as long as you can help me get rid of the corpse yin qi in my sea of consciousness. Zhong Hao's eyes were somewhat evasive, and he did not dare to look directly at Ning Yu, for fear of being seen through. Zhong Hao, why don't I help you get rid of the corpse yin qi in your sea of consciousness now? Rolling his eyes, Ning Yu said, you can take the treasures in the Zhong family's treasure trove at any time. If you don't get rid of the corpse yin qi in your sea of consciousness one day later, it will probably cause fatal harm to you. This. Due to nervousness, Zhong Hao's forehead was covered in beads of sweat. Let him help you get rid of the corpse yin qi in your sea of consciousness. I'd like to see if a late-stage true martial realm martial artist can really defeat Zhong Bin like you said. In the second room on the left of the courtyard, an old man dressed in grey said in a deep voice. The old man in grey was none other than the late-stage 7th grade alchemist of the Corpse Sect Alchemist Hall, Shu Jinfu. In front of him, there were 2 transparent jade bottles. Each jade bottle contained 3 black elixirs. Demon Heart Dan. If Ning Yu was here, he would definitely recognize that the dans in the jade bottles were Demon Heart dans. Originally, Ning Yu thought that Shu Jinfu was refining the Demon Heart Dan. Who would have thought that Shu Jinfu had already refined the Demon Heart Dan? Moreover, he had refined a total of 6 of them. 6 Demon Heart Dans, and each of them had reached the best quality level. The Demon Heart Dan was originally a 7th grade Dan, and the best quality Demon Heart Dan could even control a middle stage yin-yang realm martial artist. Zhong Bin is a peak early stage yin-yang realm martial artist, and the person outside is only a late stage true martial realm martial artist. With a wave of his wrist, Shu Jinfu put away the 2 bottles of Demon Heart Dan and murmured, defeating a early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist with a late-stage true martial realm cultivation, in the Da Xia Empire's Corpse Sect, only the number 1 genius of the Ghost Talent Hall can do this. Thinking of that abnormal genius of the Ghost Talent Hall, Shu Jinfu could not help but shiver. He had personally seen the number 1 genius of the Ghost Talent Hall defeat a early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist with 1 move when he was in the late-stage true martial realm. At that time, that early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist was far stronger than Zhong Bin. Now that the number 1 genius of the Ghost Talent Hall had advanced to the Yuan Dan realm, one could imagine how terrifying the strength of a Yuan Dan realm martial artist was. At this moment, Zhong Hao, who was outside the room, gritted his teeth and said, Ning Yu, I can let you help me get rid of the corpse yin qi in my sea of consciousness, but before that, I have a small request. What request? Ning Yu said without batting an eyelid. It's very simple, you must completely remove the corpse yin qi in my sea of consciousness within 10 minutes. Zhong Hao said in a deep voice. Why? Ning Yu asked. If you remove the corpse yin qi in my sea of consciousness, you will definitely send your soul force into my sea of consciousness. 10 minutes is the limit of what I can endure. If it goes any longer, I'm afraid you will control me. Zhong Hao said as if he was really at a disadvantage. You can rest assured about this. When I remove the corpse yin qi in your sea of consciousness, I will not use all my soul force. Waving his hand, Ningyu said, I will only use 10% of my soul force, or less. What? How can 10% of your soul force remove the corpse yin qi in my sea of consciousness? You are. Fine, 10% is 10%. At first, Zhong Hao flew into a rage, but then, as if he heard something, he suddenly became listless. Zhong Hao, relax your mind. The next moment, Ningyu's eyes turned cold as he shouted in a low voice. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, a wisp of soul force swept out of Ningyu's body and rushed toward Zhong Hao. Swoosh. However, along with this wisp of soul force, there was also a red flying sword. Ningyu, do you want to? Ah. Seeing the red flying sword coming toward him, Zhong Hao's expression changed greatly and he hurriedly shouted. However, as soon as he shouted, he let out a miserable shriek like a pig being slaughtered. Puff. Immediately, his chest was pierced by the red demon sword, and his body fell straight backward. Zhong Hao, do you think I don't know what you're up to? In front of me, any conspiracy. Not good. After defeating Zhong Hao in one move, before Ningyu's voice faded, a look of horror appeared on his face. This was because he found that Zhong Hao's body was rapidly expanding. Explosion. It was obvious that Zhong Hao's situation was no different from self-destruction. The only difference was that self-destruction was controlled by oneself, while Zhong Hao's state was no longer under his control. Damn it! Cursing inwardly, Ningyu stamped his feet on the ground and rushed toward Zhong Hao at a shocking speed. In the blink of an eye, Ningyu arrived in front of Zhong Hao, grabbed one of Zhong Hao's arms with each hand, and then used all his strength to throw Zhong Hao toward the second room on the left. Boom! As soon as Zhong Hao's body touched the second room on the left, it suddenly exploded. Chapter 382. The experienced Shu Jinfu kaboom. When the sound of the explosion rang out, the crowd of martial artists in front of the Zhong family's door revealed a look of horror. Some of the martial artists, whose level of cultivation was too low, were even pushed back several feet by the shockwave of the explosion. Fart. Fart. After spitting out several mouthfuls of fresh blood, these martial artists with lower levels of cultivation turned deathly pale, their faces devoid of color. What exactly happened? I'm not sure, but this explosion should have come from inside the Zhong family. Nonsense, I know even if you don't tell me. What do you know? Do you know what exactly caused the explosion? Me. If I'm not wrong, it should be a primal core martial artist who self-destructed. Whoosh. As soon as this martial artist finished speaking, there was an uproar. A peak primal core martial artist self-destructed? That should not be possible. After all, the shockwave of the explosion clearly did not reach the level of a peak primal core martial artist. At most, it was equivalent to the explosion of an early primal core martial artist. This aura of the explosion, it seems to be Zhong Hao. As the crowd discussed, Zhong Jian's heart skipped a beat. From the aura of the explosion, he smelled a familiar scent. This familiar scent was exactly the same as the scent on Zhong Hao's body. There was almost no difference. That should not be possible. Then, Zhong Jian shook his head, denying this thought. Zhong Hao was a peak primal core martial artist, and the shockwave of his explosion could not have been so weak. Logically speaking, the self-destruction of a peak primal core martial artist was difficult even for an early yin-yang martial artist to withstand. Whoosh! What Zhong Jian did not know was that in the courtyard of the Zhong family, Ningyu's 4 illusory golden cores were floating above his head, continuously emitting yuan qi. The yuan qi of the 4 illusory golden cores intertwined, forming a protective yuan qi shield in front of Ningyu. Whoosh! The shockwave of Zhong Hao's self-destruction kept hitting the shield in front of him, making a sizzling sound. Fortunately, Zhong Hao resisted the explosion. Otherwise, with the primordial qi in my 4 illusory golden cores, I definitely wouldn't be able to withstand the aftermath of the explosion. Ningyu was still aware of his own limitations. Unless he advanced his cultivation to the true martial realm great perfection, or even half a step into the Yuandan realm, he would definitely not be able to withstand the self-detonation of a Yuan Dan pinnacle martial artist. With the protection of Ning Yu's 4 illusory golden elixir shadows, the aftershock of Zhong Hao's self-destruction had dissipated significantly. As a result, the many warriors at the Zhong family's door had only felt the self-destruction of an early primal core warrior. The aftermath of the explosion lasted for a quarter of an hour before it slowly dissipated. Shoo! The moment the shockwave dissipated, a figure dashed out of the room and charged straight at Ning Yu. Bang! The sudden change caused Ning Yu's expression to change slightly. In the next instant, he gathered his primordial chi on his fist and smashed it against the martial artist in front of him. At the moment when the fists collided, Ning Yu and the martial artist each took a few steps back. The strength of the late 7th grade soul force, the early yin-yang realm cultivation. Looking at the grey-robed old man not far away, Ning Yu said in a deep voice, "If I'm not wrong, you should be the late 7th grade alchemist of the Alchemist Hall, Shu Jinfu. You know my name?" Hearing Ning Yu's words, the grey-robed old man was obviously startled and felt a little incredulous. In the huge ivory city, apart from the martial artists of the Yin Corpse sect, there were only 3 people who knew his name: Zhong Bin, Zhong Hao, Zhong Jian. In other words, apart from these 3 martial artists, no one in Ivory City knew that his name was Shu Jinfu. Humph. I didn't expect you to even force out my name. Zhong Bin and the others are really useless, Shu Jinfu said with a cold snort. He could basically judge that the martial artists who told Ning Yu his name could only be Zhong Bin, Zhong Hao, and Zhong Jian. However, Ning Yu's next words made his pupils shrink slightly, revealing a look of extreme shock. Ning Yu took a step forward and said lightly, "Before I entered Ivory City, I already knew your name. In order to break through the Ivory Tower, the Alchemist Hall sent out 3 great alchemists, Zun Jianwen, Lynk, and you. The reason why I know that you are staying in the Zhong family is entirely because of Zun Jianwen." Zun Jianwen? Shu Jinfu's face changed and he scolded, "Don't try to sow discord between us. Zun Jianwen also told me that you are refining the inner demon pill." Shrugging, Ning Yu continued, "If I'm not wrong, you should have refined the inner demon pill, but I don't know how many inner demon pills you have refined." This time, Shu Jinfu was finally moved. Ning Yu knew so much about this plan, maybe what he said was true. Zun Jianwen had betrayed them. Suddenly, Shu Jinfu seemed to think of something, and his face became completely gloomy. If Zun Jianwen betrayed them, the Alchemist Hall Master and the others would definitely be in great danger. "I have indeed refined the inner demon pill, and I have refined 6 inner demon pills." Taking a deep breath, Shu Jinfu reached into his arms and took out 2 jade bottles. Supreme Inner Demon Pill. Seeing the jade bottles in Shu Jinfu's hands, Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat, vaguely feeling that something was wrong. Supreme Inner Demon Pill was known to be able to control intermediate yin-yang realm martial artists. Once it entered the Great Xia Kingdom, it would cause fatal harm to the Great Xia Kingdom. 6 Inner Demon Pills. At first, I planned to leave 3 in Ivory City and send the other 3 to the capital. Just as Ning Yu was shocked by this, Shu Jinfu sneered, "Since I have met you, I will give you 1 inner demon pill." Buzz. Shu Jinfu waved his hands quickly in front of him. As Shu Jinfu waved his hands, a small whirlpool suddenly appeared in the space in front of him, and this small whirlpool continued to expand. Dead Soul's Whirlpool. Seeing the small whirlpool in front of Shu Jinfu, Ning Yu's pupils shrank, and he could not help but take a few steps back. The Dead Soul's Whirlpool was extremely difficult to cultivate. Not even 1 in 100 Corpse sect martial artists could successfully cultivate it. In order to display the power of the Dead Soul's Whirlpool, one must feed the Corpse Yin Qi into it. In the past, Ning Yu had seen a martial artist from the Corpse sect use the Dead Soul's Whirlpool, and it was Qi Jiang from the Ghost Talent Hall. However, Qi Jiang was only ranked 7th in the Ghost Talent Hall, and the Dead Soul's Whirlpool he used was far from Shu Jinfu's. You actually know about the Dead Soul's Whirlpool. Shu Jinfu raised his eyebrows and smiled. "Dying in the Dead Soul's Whirlpool is also a kind of enjoyment for you." Swoosh. With a wave of his sleeve, a dark green gas rushed out and madly rushed toward the Dead Soul's Whirlpool. "Don't let the Corpse Yin Qi enter the Dead Soul's Whirlpool," Ningyu was not a fool. The scene of his battle with Qi Jiang was still vivid in his mind. Once the corpse Yin Qi entered the Dead Soul's whirlpool, the Dead Soul's whirlpool would rush out with Dead Soul's whirlpool. Ningyu had already seen the power of the Dead Soul's whirlpool from Gui Er. If he did not have the quenching pill cauldron, he would have long been corroded by Gui Er's Dead Soul's whirlpool. Chapter 383. Choose one of 2-inch solitaire. Seeing that the ghostly green corpse Yin Qi was about to enter the necromancy vortex, Ningyu's eyes turned cold. Immediately, for terrifying waves of primordial qi swept out from the golden core and frantically burrowed into the red demon sword. Immediately after, Ningyu quickly waved the red demon sword. Accompanied by a low roar, a shocking sword wave rushed out from the red demon sword and charged towards Shu Jinfu's corpse Yin Qi at an astonishing speed. 4 illusory gold cores. When Shu Jinfu saw the 4 illusory golden cores above Ningyu's head unleash a powerful wave of primordial qi, he was slightly taken aback, feeling a little incredulous. When he sprang out of the room, the first thing he saw was the 4 illusory golden cores above Ningyu's head. However, at that time, he did not think that the illusory golden core above Ningyu's head was real. Who would have thought that the 4 illusory golden cores above Ningyu's head were not only real, but also contained a terrifying amount of yuan qi? Just because of your 4 illusory golden cores? I've changed my mind. Shu Jinfu was indeed a cultivator who had seen a lot of things. He quickly calmed down and said coldly, I will not kill you. I will capture you and study you properly. So much nonsense. After slashing out a solitaire, Ningyu immediately activated the Netherworld Samsara palm technique and quickly blasted out a palm print. Revolving palm. The revolving palm was the 5th style of the Netherworld Samsara palm, and it was extremely powerful. When Ningyu was in the middle stage of the 5th grade, his rotating wheel palm was able to compete with a peak Yuandan practitioner. Now that his soul power had advanced to the late stage of the 5th grade, the power of the rotating wheel palm had also increased. Shoo. In the face of Ningyu's 2 consecutive attacks, not only was Shu Jinfu not afraid, but the corners of his mouth curled up into an evil smile. Insignificant skill. In the next moment, Shu Jinfu flicked his sleeves and 2 rays of cold light shot out. One blasted towards solitaire, while the other blasted towards the rotating wheel palm. Voila! When the chilling light and the solitaire came into contact, the result was not beyond Shu Jinfu's expectations. The chilling light easily dispersed the solitaire. Rumble. Meanwhile, on the other side, before Shu Jinfu's cold light could collide with Ningyu's rotating wheel palm, the rotating wheel palm exploded. The aftershock of the explosion spread out in all directions, causing Shu Jinfu's brows to raise as he felt a little disbelief. I didn't expect your palm print to explode. Oh no. Seeing the explosion of the revolving wheel palm, Shu Jinfu smiled faintly. Just as he was about to mock Zhong Xian, his expression abruptly changed. That was because a terrifying spiritual pressure was pressing down on him unscrupulously. Damn it. You used a soul attack spell technique. Cursing inwardly, Shu Jinfu stomped on the ground and quickly retreated. However, the speed at which he retreated was clearly slower than the speed of the soul suppression. He had only retreated a few steps when the soul suppression arrived in front of him. Humph. Your soul strength is only at the advanced stage of the 5th grade, but my soul strength is at the advanced stage of the 7th grade. Even if you used a soul attack spell technique, you can't do anything to me. With a cold snort, Shu Jinfu's soul strength at the advanced stage of the 7th grade poured out and formed a soul protection shield in front of him. Generally speaking, when faced with a soul attack spell technique, ordinary martial artists would not use their soul strength to block it. After all, soul attack spells specialized in attacking the soul. Even if one's soul strength was a level higher than the opponent's, it was still difficult to block it. However, there were exceptions to everything. As long as one's soul strength was 2 levels higher than the opponent's, one could rely on the absolute strength of the soul strength to suppress the opponent, rendering the opponent's soul attack spell technique ineffective. What Shu Jinfu needed to do now was to rely on his advanced stage of the 7th grade soul strength to suppress Ningyu. Sizzle. As expected, Before the aftershock of the explosion came into contact with Shu Jinfu's soul protection shield, it made a sizzling sound and directly dissipated between heaven and earth. In the face of absolute strength, all schemes and plots will be exposed. Seeing that the soul protection shield had blocked the aftershock of the explosion, Shu Jinfu smiled evilly. Next, it's my turn to attack, dead spirits, is that so? Before Shu Jinfu finished speaking, Ningyu raised his eyebrows and quickly threw the red demon sword in his hand. Swish! As soon as the red demon sword was thrown, a small red flying sword separated from the sword. The small red flying sword flew towards Shu Jinfu, while the red demon sword flew towards the vortex of the dead spirits. What the hell? Shu Jinfu frowned slightly as he looked at the small red flying sword approaching him. He was a little confused. He did not know what trick Ningyu was playing. Logically speaking, the explosion of the rotating wheel palm should not have been able to cause any damage to his soul protection shield. What could this small flying sword do? Absorb it. However, just as Shu Jinfu was feeling puzzled, a low roar came from Ningyu's mouth. As the low roar rang out, a terrifying devouring force was emitted from the small red flying sword. The small flying sword was not an ordinary flying sword, but the red demon sword's good sword. Its devouring force was comparable to the red demon sword's. The reason why Ningyu had chosen to use the good sword at this moment was because Shu Jinfu was completely relaxed. Secondly, Shu Jinfu had used his soul power. Buzz. In the next instant, while Shu Jinfu was still in a daze, the good sword had arrived in front of him. The terrifying devouring force was unscrupulously devouring his soul power. How dare you devour my soul power? Shu Jinfu reacted almost at the same time his soul power was devoured. However, he reacted a little too late. In the short span of a second, a tenth of his soul power had already been devoured. As Ningyu's soul power had advanced to the advanced stage of grade 5, the good sword's devouring force had also increased significantly. Otherwise, it would not have been able to devour a tenth of Shu Jinfu's soul power in a second. Die! Shu Jinfu, who had reacted, shouted and immediately retracted the soul power outside his body. His primordial energy wrapped around his wrist and he threw a punch. Ding! The fist and the flying sword collided. The result was obvious. The good sword was sent flying back several feet. I want this flying sword. Shu Jinfu stomped on the ground and headed straight for the good sword, intending to retrieve it. Shu Jinfu, do you really want that flying sword? Ningyu did not worry when he saw Shu Jinfu charge at the good sword. Instead, he smiled. Of course. The quality of this flying sword is not low, so it naturally belongs to me, Shu Jinfu said proudly as he flew. Alright, as long as you can catch up to the flying sword, what's the harm in giving it to you? Ningyu shrugged. Then, he changed the topic and said, however, between the flying sword and the necromancy vortex, which one will you choose? What's there to think about? Of course I'll choose the flying. What? The flying sword and the necromancy vortex? When he heard Ningyu's words, Shu Jinfu replied almost without hesitation. However, before he could finish his sentence, he realized that something was wrong and hurriedly shifted his gaze to Ningyu. Chapter 384. Chapter 384. Controlling the Death Soul Vortex impossible. This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Shu Jinfu's expression became extremely ugly and his fists were clenched so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. He had never imagined that Ningyu could actually control the undead whirlpool. One must know that the Death Soul Vortex was a unique secret technique of the Corpse Sect. It was almost impossible for non-Corpse Sect martial artists to come into contact with it. Any martial artist who came into contact with the cultivation method of the Death Soul Vortex would, without exception, be killed by the Corpse Sect. In order to prevent the cultivation method of the Death Soul Vortex from being leaked, the Corpse Sect would not only kill the martial artists who came into contact with the cultivation method, they would also kill all the members of the martial artists' families. It was commonly known as the extermination of the family. As long as you put your heart into it, nothing is impossible. With a faint smile, Ningyu dragged the Death Soul Vortex with his left hand and the dark green Corpse Yin Chi with his right. However, There was a layer of dense yuan qi on both of Ningyu's hands. The corpse yin qi and the death soul vortex were both corrosive. In order to prevent his hands from being corroded, Ningyu specially used his yuan qi and gathered it on his palms. Ningyu, you're finished. No one in this world can save you. With a cold snort, Shu Jinfu said in a deep voice, I originally planned to let you live, but since you're courting death, don't blame me. Let me live. As if he had heard the funniest joke in the world, Ningyu faced the sky and laughed wildly. He then said coldly, the death soul vortex and corpse yin qi are both in my hands. Your soul force has also been devoured by 1/10. What do you have to fight against me now? Shio. At this moment, the good sword streaked across the sky and appeared in front of Ningyu. With a thought from Ningyu, the good sword directly drilled into the red demon sword and went dormant. Seeing the small red flying sword enter the red demon sword in front of Ningyu, Shu Jinfu was so angry that his body trembled and his eyes were filled with viciousness. In order to obtain the small red flying sword, he had been very careless. Otherwise, Ningyu would not have been able to control the death soul vortex. Right now, it was obvious that he had gone for wool and come home shorn. Ningyu, who told you how to control the death soul whirlpool? Tell me, and I can plead with the hall master to spare your life. Shu Jinfu calmed down and said sinisterly. There's no harm in telling you. Shrugging his shoulders, Ningyu said, listen up, the one who told me how to control the dead soul's whirlpool was from the alchemist hall. Ningyu paused for a moment, then smiled and said, Zun Jianwen. Zun Jianwen. Hearing Ningyu's words, Shu Jinfu was stunned at first, then his face completely darkened. You keep saying it's Zun Jianwen. What proof do you have? Shu Jinfu said coldly. Evidence. Ningyu opened his mouth and said, you're asking me for evidence. Why should I give you evidence? If you don't believe me, you can ask Zun Jianwen yourself. Alright, I'll go now. No, you're stalling for time. As he spoke, Shu Jinfu seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes stared straight at Ningyu, at the dead soul's whirlpool in Ningyu's hand. Ha ha ha. Suddenly, Shu Jinfu laughed out loud. After laughing, the corners of Shu Jinfu's lips curled up, revealing an evil smile, and said, I thought you really controlled the dead soul's whirlpool. I didn't expect you to only grasp the surface of the dead soul's whirlpool and not completely control it. If that's the case, with a strange laugh, Shu Jinfu rose from the ground and charged toward Ningyu at an extremely fast speed. At the same time, Shu Jinfu fully unleashed his early-stage yin-yang aura, suppressing Ningyu. Damn it! Seeing that Shu Jinfu was charging toward him, Ningyu's expression changed drastically. Without thinking, he immediately retreated. Shu Jinfu was right. He indeed did not completely control the dead soul's whirlpool, and had only seized control of half of it. Because he had never seen Shu Jinfu's dead soul's whirlpool, Zun Jianwen had no way to tell Ningyu the specific method, and could only tell Ningyu the general method of controlling the dead soul's whirlpool. Although the general method could be used, it was too time-consuming. The reason why Ningyu and Shu Jinfu were playing dumb and teasing each other was because he was stalling for time. Once he managed to control the dead soul's whirlpool, Shu Jinfu's death would come. However, Shu Jinfu's sudden attack had messed up all his plans, forcing him to bite the bullet and fight Shu Jinfu. Corpse yin qi. At the critical moment, Ningyu threw out the corpse yin qi in his right hand and faced Shu Jinfu. Using my corpse yin qi to fight me? Shu Jinfu obviously did not put the corpse yin qi in his eyes. After all, he was a member of the corpse yin sect, and he was very familiar with the corpse yin qi. Thank you for returning the corpse yin qi to me. Shu Jinfu's eyes flashed, and he slightly gave up on attacking Ningyu. Instead, he took out a black bottle from his bosom. Bang! With a little force from his thumb, Shu Jinfu popped the cork and threw the black bottle at the corpse yin qi. Buzz! The moment the black bottle flew out, it gradually grew bigger. When it was about to touch the corpse yin qi, it had already grown several times bigger. Corpse yin qi, come back! Shu Jinfu shouted in a low voice. Crash! Following Shu Jinfu's shout, a huge suction force came from the mouth of the black bottle, and the corpse yin qi was easily sucked into the bottle. Pa! Then, Shu Jinfu took out a cork from his bosom and plugged the mouth of the bottle. Ningyu, have you lost your mind? Shu Jinfu was dumbfounded when he saw Ningyu throw the vortex of undead souls above his head, cupped his fists, and revealed a silly smile. Ningyu wouldn't have become a fool, right? Because no normal person would make such an expression and behavior. Even if you have lost your mind, I will still kill you. Shu Jinfu's figure flashed, and he was about to rush out. However, before he could rush out, Ningyu's voice sounded in the area. Shu Jinfu, don't you think there is something wrong with the corpse Yin Qi? Ningyu smiled. Something wrong? Hearing this, Shu Jinfu was a little stunned, but he quickly sneered, how could there be a problem? How can I not know about my corpse Yin Qi? You are just trying to buy time. Buying time? Hehe, the ignorant are fearless. Curling his lips, Ningyu said, to tell you the truth, not only did I return your corpse Yin Qi to you, I also returned 1/10 of your soul force. You are that good. Frowning, Shu Jinfu said, impossible? Of course I am good. Oh, right, I forgot to tell you something. Ningyu took a step back and said, in the corpse Yin Qi just now, not only did it contain 1/10 of your soul force, it also contained a strand of my soul force. And your soul. F***ck. Hearing this, Shu Jinfu wanted to say something, but he could not help but curse. Chapter 385. Soul Suppression. Chapter 385. Soul Suppression Explode. Ningyu bellowed the moment the black bottle left Shu Jinfu's palm. Crack. Following Ningyu's shout, the black bottle exploded with a loud bang. Boom. An earth-shattering explosion reverberated in the courtyard. Shu Jinfu's pupils shrank at the explosion of the black bottle. He turned into a shadow and dashed out of the courtyard. Fart. However, before Shu Jinfu could leave the courtyard, he was hit by the shockwave of the explosion. Shu Jinfu could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood as he tasted the blood in his throat. Shu Jinfu did not have much time to think. He quickly gathered all his yuan qi in front of him, hoping to withstand the shockwave of the explosion. TSK. However, the shockwave was extremely powerful. It tore apart the yuan qi barrier in front of Shu Jinfu almost instantly and hit his chest once again. This time, Shu Jinfu was not as lucky as before. Not only did he spit out a few mouthfuls of blood, but his body was also blown back several feet. His face was pale. Swoosh. As the shockwave dissipated, Ningyu's figure flashed and appeared in front of Shu Jinfu. Shu Jinfu, you have two choices now. Ningyu cupped his fists and said calmly, first, submit to me. Second, at this point, Ningyu's eyes turned cold and his aura crazily pressed against Shu Jinfu. Die. As soon as the word die was said, Ningyu held the red demon sword and placed it on Shu Jinfu's neck. Ningyu's meaning was clear. If Shu Jinfu dared to choose the second option, he would attack immediately and kill Shu Jinfu. I am a 7th grade advanced alchemist with a yin-yang realm cultivation base. You want me to submit to you? Shu Jinfu snorted and said proudly, I choose the first option. F***ck. Hearing Shu Jinfu's words, Ningyu was a little dumbfounded. He frowned and asked again, which option do you choose? Of course I'll choose the first one. It's better to live than to die. Shu Jinfu's words were filled with righteousness as he said, even the peak grade 7 alchemist Sun Jianwen betrayed the corpse sect, so it's not a big deal for me to submit to you. A good bird chooses a tree to nest in, so choosing the first one is a wise move. You're really too shameless. Ningyu didn't expect Shu Jinfu to be so shameless. The first half of his words sounded like he was going to be loyal to the corpse sect, but the second half made him not know whether to laugh or cry. Ningyu even wondered how Shu Jinfu managed to cultivate to the early stage of yin-yang realm. Could it be that the older one was, the more cunning he was? Shaking his head, Ningyu decided not to think about this for the time being. Instead, he said, Shu Jinfu, since you have chosen to submit to me, I will not mistreat you. 1 year from now, I will remove my control over you. Really? Hearing this, Shu Jinfu's face lit up and he quickly said, not to mention 1 year, as long as you promise to remove your control over me within 3 years, I will immediately open my mind. Ningyu seemed a little impatient as he said, "Don't talk nonsense. Quickly open your mind and let my soul force enter your sea of knowledge." Okay. Gritting his teeth, Shu Jinfu closed his eyes and completely opened his mind. It was as if he was waiting to be trampled on. However, Shu Jinfu's right hand was behind his back, quietly forming a seal. "Shu Jinfu, wait a moment." Suddenly, Ningyu raised his eyebrows and said, "Since you have chosen to submit to me, then release the rest of your soul force from your body and let me control it." What? Shu Jinfu's heart skipped a beat and his expression changed slightly. Was I discovered? After thinking about it, Shu Jinfu felt that it was unlikely. After all, his movements were very secretive, and he was using his perception to closely observe the changes in Ningyu's expression when he formed the seal. At that time, Ningyu's expression did not change. "Shu Jinfu, you only have one chance." Cupping his fists, Ningyu looked at Shu Jinfu with interest. Shu Jinfu's expression was gloomy, and he was having an intense internal struggle. Originally, he had planned to launch a sneak attack on Ningyu, but now, Ningyu's reaction was really confusing. "Okay, Ningyu, I will hand over my soul force to you." In that instant, Shu Jinfu made a decision that could change his fate. With a thought, the soul force in his body poured out and flew toward Ningyu. Although Shu Jinfu had been seriously injured in the explosion of the black jade bottle, his soul force was not too affected. Only 1/10 of his soul force had been devoured by Ningyu's flying sword, and there was still 9/10 left. Finally can't take it anymore. Seeing that so much soul force was attacking him, Ningyu's expression became slightly serious, and the red demon sword gradually shrank to the size of a strand of hair. Whoosh! Not long after, Shu Jinfu's advanced stage 7th grade soul force arrived in front of Ningyu. "Ha ha ha, Ningyu, die." At this moment, Shu Jinfu laughed out loud, and his face became distorted. He said coldly, "Under the pressure of my advanced stage 7th grade soul force, what do you have to fight against me? Shu Jinfu, aren't you afraid that I will devour the rest of your soul force?" Ningyu did not retreat, but advanced instead. He took a step forward, and all the advanced stage 5th grade soul force in his body surged out. He said in a low voice, "If I can devour 1/10 of your soul force, I can devour all of your soul force." Me. Last time, I was completely careless. This time, I am prepared. What do you have to devour my soul force? With a cold snort, Shu Jinfu quickly formed a hand seal. As he formed the hand seal, Shu Jinfu said in a low voice, "I will let you have a taste of soul suppression." Buzz. Then, an extremely terrifying soul suppression erupted from Shu Jinfu's soul force, and unscrupulously suppressed Ningyu. The reason why Shu Jinfu was not afraid of Ningyu's devouring flying sword was because he was adept at controlling his soul force, and could already display the first stage of soul suppression. The so-called soul suppression required a very strong control over the soul. It was impossible for ordinary alchemists to display soul suppression. Soul suppression was very scary. Once the other party's soul was suppressed, the other party would be like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered, without any resistance. "Ningyu, when faced with my soul suppression, you should enjoy." What? However, before Shu Jinfu could finish his sentence, his pupils shrank, and he revealed an extremely shocked expression. As Ningyu waved his sleeves, a cold light shot out. Kai. This cold light was extremely fast, and when it came into contact with his soul force, it suddenly enlarged. Devouring flying sword. Looking at the enlarged flying sword, Shu Jinfu almost revealed a look of despair. He did not expect that the soul suppression displayed by his advanced stage 7th grade soul force would have no effect on Ningyu at all. "Shu Jinfu, don't you think you are a little arrogant to display soul suppression in front of me?" Chapter 386. Someone from the capital Kai Kai. Kai Kai. As soon as Ningyu's voice fell, the red demon sword made contact with Shu Jinfu's soul force. Then, a powerful devouring force erupted, devouring Shu Jinfu's soul force crazily. "Damn it! Come back!" Cursing inwardly, Shu Jinfu tried to control his soul force to return to his body. Swoosh! At this moment, Ningyu's figure flashed and appeared in front of Shu Jinfu in the blink of an eye. Shu Jinfu, if you submit to me obediently, I will definitely spare your life. With a flick of his wrist, the soul-severing sword appeared in Ningyu's hand. In the next moment, Ningyu waved the soul-severing sword and stabbed it straight at Shu Jinfu's heart. Shu Jinfu was already seriously injured. His primordial qi had been greatly depleted when he resisted the black jade bottle's explosion. Now, he was left with only a trace of primordial qi. It could be said that the current Shu Jinfu could be easily killed by a true martial realm martial artist, let alone Ningyu. The outcome was no surprise. The soul-severing sword gradually enlarged in Shu Jinfu's eyes and finally stabbed into his heart. Ningyu, you, looking down at the flying sword at his heart, Shu Jinfu raised his right hand and pointed at Ningyu. He wanted to say something, but his vision went black and his body fell backward. Until his death, Shu Jinfu still did not understand how Ningyu could resist the suppression of his soul. Poof! After Shu Jinfu died, Ningyu kept the soul-severing sword in his storage ring. Following that, Ningyu attached himself to Shu Jinfu's body and started searching. After a while, Ningyu got up and took a few steps back. However, there were 2 jade bottles in Ningyu's hands. Each jade bottle contained 3 black elixirs. They were the inner demon elixirs. They are indeed supreme-grade inner demon elixirs. Looking at the 6 inner demon elixirs in the jade bottles, Ningyu was slightly surprised. Shu Jinfu was only a level 7 advanced stage alchemist. The fact that he was able to refine a supreme-grade inner demon pill was enough to prove that his alchemy skills were very high. The inner demon pill was extremely difficult to refine among the 7th-grade medicinal pills. An ordinary 7th-grade alchemist might not even be able to refine a low-grade inner demon pill, let alone a supreme-grade inner demon pill. No wonder Shu Jinfu could display the first stage of soul suppression. It turned out that he was so adept at controlling the soul. Hiss! Suddenly, a hissing sound rang out. Ningyu quickly turned his head to look. After Shu Jinfu's death, his soul power became very easy to devour. In just 3 minutes, the red demon sword had completely devoured his soul power. After devouring the soul power, the red demon sword did not linger. Instead, it turned into a blur and appeared before Ningyu in the blink of an eye. Shio! Ningyu did not hesitate and hurriedly sent a wisp of his soul energy into the red demon sword. His soul power had reached the late stage of 5th grade. If he also devoured Shu Jinfu's soul power, there was a high chance that his soul power would increase to the peak of 5th grade. As long as his soul power increased to the peak of 5th grade, Ningyu could cultivate the 6 forms of the Netherworld Samsara Palm. Although the first 5 forms of the Netherworld Samsara Palm were not weak, Ningyu's opponents were mostly peak primal core and yin-yang stage martial artists. The 5th form of the Netherworld Samsara Palm was not strong enough. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He immediately sat down cross-legged and took out a supreme-grade essence crystal from his storage ring to replenish the primordial qi he had expended. From Gui Ningyu had obtained 10 million supreme-grade essence crystals and 800,000 supreme-grade essence crystals. Now was the time to use them. The spiritual technique slowly circulated. Wisps of primordial qi gushed out of the supreme-grade essence crystal and flowed through Ningyu's palm into his consciousness. Whoosh! While Ningyu was recovering, a large number of martial artists suddenly appeared in front of the Zhong family. These martial artists were dressed in blood-red robes. On their shoulders were 3 large blood-red words, Evil Blood Guards. Evil Blood Guards. It's the Evil Blood Guards. What are the Evil Blood Guards? You don't even know the Evil Blood Guards. You are indeed outdated. Listen up, the Evil Blood Guards are death warriors trained by the capital Zhong family. They are all early primal core stage. That's right. The Evil Blood Guards are very powerful. Although they are only early primal core stage, each of them has been selected through a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Their combat power is comparable to a mid or late primal core stage martial artist. What are they doing here? What? Isn't it obvious? The Zhong family in Ivory City is about to be breached. The capital Zhong family will definitely not sit back and do nothing. The surrounding discussions naturally entered Hu Qingchen's ears. As the strongest expert in the governor's mansion of Ivory City, No one knew better than him how terrifying the evil blood guards were, except for the higher-ups of the Zhong family. In order to complete their mission, the evil blood guards could self-destruct at any time, the kind of self-destruction that they would do. Imagine, how powerful would the self-destruction of 20 or 30 early primal core stage martial artists be? Where is Zhong Bin? Bring him here to see me. At the forefront of the evil blood guards, there was a peak primal core stage martial artist. This peak primal core stage martial artist swept his gaze across the crowd, then landed on the face of an early primal core stage Zhong family martial artist. He said coldly, "The dignified Zhong family actually sent people to attack our door. What is Zhong Bin doing? Sir, please calm down." Hearing the words of the peak primal core stage martial artist, the early primal core stage Zhong family martial artist hurriedly pointed to a martial artist lying behind him and said, "Ancestor Zhong Bin is here, Before the early primal core stage martial artist had finished speaking, the peak primal core stage Zhong family martial artist's eyes turned cold and he quickly rushed out. Who beat Zhong Bin up like this? Looking at Zhong Bin's weak appearance, the peak primal core stage martial artist's face completely darkened as he asked coldly. Ning Yu, the early primal core stage martial artist hurriedly replied. Ning Yu. Hearing this, the peak primal core stage martial artist was slightly taken aback, then the corners of his mouth curled up and he laughed out loud. After the laughter, the peak primal core stage martial artist said, "Looks like coming to Ivory City this time was a wise choice. To actually be able to meet Ning Yu, it really is a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find what you're looking for without even looking. Speak, where is Ning Yu?" Then, Zhong Quan changed the topic and said, "At the Zhong family." Whoosh. In the next moment, Zhong Quan rose from the ground and rushed into the Zhong family in a flash. "All of you wait here. Without my permission, no one is to leave." Although he had entered the Zhong family, Zhong Quan did not forget to turn back an order. Isn't the Zhong family in the capital too arrogant? After Zhong Quan left, a martial artist in the middle stage of the real martial realm complained. "Yes, what right does he have to stop us from leaving? This is Ivory City, not the capital," another martial artist in the late stage of the real martial realm chimed in. However, just as these two martial artists finished speaking, their pupils shrank. This was because two figures were rushing straight towards them. Evil blood guards. These two figures were none other than the evil blood guards of the Zhong family in the capital. Fat. The evil blood guards were early primal core stage martial artists. Killing martial artists in the middle stage and late stage of the real martial realm was almost effortless. Chapter 387. The Art of Concealment. Chapter 387, Concealment Technique. Swish. After the two martial artists at the middle and late stage of the real martial realm were killed, the area instantly became quiet, so quiet that it was scary. At this time, many martial artists were extremely frightened. They knew that the evil blood guards were strong, but they did not expect them to be this strong. The martial artists at the middle and late stage of the real martial realm had been killed by them in one move, and not even their dregs were left. This time, many martial artists became obedient, and some low-level martial artists even held their breath, not daring to breathe too loudly. In contrast, Hu Qingchen's face was much uglier. The capital's Zhong family was behaving so atrociously in Ivory City, completely disrespecting the mayor's residence. Yang Kuan has already used the royal family's unique voice transmission method to contact the royal family. I wonder when the royal family will send someone. Taking a deep breath, Hu Qingchen did not stand out, but chose to wait quietly. He knew that Yang Kuan had used the royal family's unique voice transmission method. Once the royal family received the news, they would definitely send someone strong as soon as possible. From the capital to Ivory City, if a yin-yang realm martial artist rushed at full speed, it would only take about 6 hours. It had been 2 hours since Yang Kuan used the voice transmission method, and all Hu Qingchen had to do was wait here. Bang! At the same time, in the Zhong family courtyard. After hurriedly exchanging a punch with Hong Mo, Zhong Quan took a few steps back to stabilize himself. After stabilizing himself, Zhong Quan's face was a little ugly. Originally, He thought that he could kill the man in red in one move. Who would have thought that the man in red was so strong that he could easily block his punch with 50% of his strength? In the capital's Zhong family, Zhong Quan was a peerless genius of the same generation as Zhong Tianwen, and his strength was terrifying. When Zhong Quan was in the late stage of the primal core stage, he had fought with an early stage yin-yang realm martial artist and even killed him. The man in red in front of him was only in the late stage of the primal core stage, and his punch with 50% of his strength was easily blocked. "Who are you?" Taking a deep breath, Zhong Quan said coldly. "And who are you?" Hong Mo frowned, and his heart became vigilant. Not long ago, Ningyu had communicated with him and told him that there was an expert rushing to the Zhong family. At first, Hong Mo did not think much of it, because he did not sense it. But when he saw Zhong Quan, he knew that Ningyu was right. "I keep having the feeling that there are experts hiding in the surroundings." The Red Fiend was a spirit body and was very sensitive to energy. He kept feeling that there was an expert in the void and couldn't help but look towards the west. You found me." In the void, an illusory figure furrowed his brows in disbelief. The illusory martial artist was called Zhong Hang. Although his cultivation was only at the half-step yin-yang realm, his concealment technique was superb. He had once obtained a concealment art. Unless it was a yin-yang realm late-stage martial artist, no one would be able to sense him. It shouldn't be possible. His cultivation is only at the late primal core stage. No matter how strong his senses are, he shouldn't be able to detect me. Shaking his head slowly, Zhong Hang said in a deep voice, "Leave this red-clothed man to Zhong Quan. I will go deeper into the Zhong clan to take a look, humph. It doesn't matter if you don't want to say it, because this day next year will be the day you die." Zhong Quan snorted coldly and flicked his sleeves. In an instant, a cold light flew out and headed straight for the Red Fiend. Although the Red Fiend had 5 primal core stage martial artists by his side, in Zhong Quan's eyes, they were all embroidered pillows that looked good but were useless. As long as he wanted to, he could kill them at any time. In his eyes, the Red Fiend was his biggest enemy. "You think you can kill me?" With a cold smile, the Red Fiend's body became illusory. In the next instant, the Red Devil appeared in front of Zhong Quan. His fist brought about a violent gust of wind and landed squarely on Zhong Quan's chest. Bang! Being punched in the chest by the Red Fiend, Zhong Quan couldn't help but take a few steps back. Pa! At this moment, the cold light from Zhong Quan also hit the Red Fiend's chest. The huge force caused the Red Fiend to retreat several feet. In this blow, both sides were evenly matched. "Big brother, should we help?" Seeing the battle between the Red Fiend and Zhong Quan, one of the early primal core stage martial artists frowned. "Not for the time being. The Red Fiend will not be defeated so easily. He still has a trump card that he hasn't used yet," one of the late primal core stage martial artists said, shaking his head. "Big brother is right. Our target is Ningyu. As for other matters that have nothing to do with us, we should try our best not to get involved," another early primal core stage martial artist said. Big brother, Ningyu, and Zhong Hao didn't go to the Zhong family's forbidden grounds together, did they? The first early primal core stage martial artist asked worriedly. "Ningyu will not die so easily. All we have to do is wait," the late primal core stage martial artist said in a low voice. "Don't ask about anything else, and don't say anything. As long as Zhong Quan doesn't provoke us, we don't have to do anything." "All right, whoosh." While the Red Fiend and Zhong Quan were battling, Ningyu exhaled deeply in the courtyard of the Zhong family and slowly stood up. Feeling the strength of his soul power, Ningyu was elated. The late 7th grade soul power is indeed very strong. It directly raised my soul power to the pinnacle of 5th grade. Now I can try to practice the 6th form of the netherworld samsara palm. After a period of devouring, Ningyu had finally devoured all of Shu Jinfu's soul power. And the strength of his soul had also advanced from the late 5th grade to the pinnacle. After his soul power had advanced to the pinnacle of 5th grade, Ningyu felt refreshed, and even his senses had improved significantly. The 6th form of the netherworld samsara palm, reincarnation. Oh no! In his mind, Ningyu recalled the 6th form of the netherworld samsara palm. Just as he was about to practice it, his expression changed, and his pupils shrank. Without much time to think, he immediately gathered the yuan qi in his sea of knowledge into his palms and struck out. Peng! In the next moment, a crisp sound rang in the area. Then, Ningyu's body fell backward like a kite with a broken string. Crack! His body hit the door of the courtyard heavily, and the wooden door was smashed into pieces. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Ningyu stared at a black figure not far away. His face was completely gloomy. Although the martial artist in front of him was only a half step to the yin-yang realm, his concealment skill was very strong. If his soul power had not advanced to the pinnacle of 5th grade, he might not even know how he was killed. Ningyu, how did you find me? At this moment, Zhonghang's face was full of disbelief. To be precise, he was extremely dumbfounded. In fact, it was no wonder that his concealment skill, which he was so proud of, had been discovered by Ningyu. If Ningyu was a martial artist in the advanced yin-yang realm, it would be fine. However, the reality was that Ningyu was in the advanced real martial realm. How do you know my name? Without answering Zhonghang's question, Ningyu frowned and said, first of all, you are not from the corpse sect, because you don't have a trace of the corpse sect's aura on you. Secondly, this is the Zhong family. Chapter 388. Easily. Haha, so what if you know I'm from the capital's Zhong family? Do you want to go there and cause trouble? After a brief moment of shock, Zhonghang smirked. Today, I, Zhonghang, will let you know the consequences of offending the Zhong family. I will go to the capital's Zhong family, but not now. Ningyu was furious. The capital's Zhong family had been going against him time and time again, and he was on the verge of exploding. He would go to the capital's Zhong family sooner or later. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu said in a low voice, I have something to do now. What is it? Zhonghang asked with a raised eyebrow. To kill you. As soon as he finished speaking, Ningyu's eyes turned cold. He waved the red demon sword in his hand, and in an instant, a powerful sword wave was unleashed. Supreme 9 Purities Technique, 6th Form, Solitaire. The next moment, the sword wave appeared above Zhonghang's head and slashed towards his face. Oh no! Seeing the sword wave approaching him, Zhonghang's expression changed drastically as he hurriedly retreated. He had not expected the sword wave that Ningyu had unleashed to be so powerful. It was so powerful that it made his heart palpitate. In Zhonghang's view, the power of this sword wave was infinitely close to the limit of a peak primal core martial artist. Ningyu was only a martial artist in the late stages of the true martial realm. How could he unleash such a powerful technique? A series of questions arose in Zhonghang's mind, causing him to be momentarily dazed. It's not good to be distracted now. Just as Zhonghang was slightly distracted, Jiyu Jianbo had already arrived beside him and ruthlessly chopped at his head. At this critical moment, Zhonghang used all his strength to dodge to the side. Whoosh! The sword wave was very fast. Although Zhonghang dodged with all his might, the sword wave still slashed his cheek, and blood dripped down his cheek. Ningyu, I want you dead. Zhonghang shouted with a sinister expression as he touched the blood on his face. Ningyu frowned slightly and said lightly, if you let the 20 or 30 martial artists of the Zhong family come in together, they might be able to pose a threat to me. As for you, at this point, Ningyu stretched out his index finger and waved it in front of him. Far from enough. Humph. I will let you know what despair is. Zhonghang coldly snorted. Soon after, his figure gradually became illusory. In the blink of an eye, he completely disappeared. The concealment technique is indeed superb. Seeing Zhonghang disappear, Ningyu slowly closed his eyes. Although his eyes were closed, Ningyu released his soul perception to detect Zhonghang's exact location. 3 meters to the left. Suddenly, Ningyu's eyes opened, and the red demon sword in his hand pierced through the air. Hua! However, just as the red demon sword stabbed out, Zhonghang's position changed. He appeared 5 meters to the right of Ningyu. Whoosh! Ningyu stabbed out again. Unfortunately, the sword still did not hit Zhonghang. Once again, Zhonghang dodged it. I don't believe you won't attack first. Having been dodged 2 consecutive times by Zhonghang, Ningyu sat down cross-legged and gave up on attacking. However, Ningyu did not withdraw his soul perception. Instead, it lingered by his side. In fact, Ningyu even sent a portion of his soul perception to the Red Demon to observe his situation. The Red Demon's situation was much better than Ningyu's. Zhongquan was only a peak primal core martial artist, and his concealment technique was not strong. The Red Demon had the upper hand, and victory was only a matter of time. Against Zhonghang, should I use the Vortex of Dead Souls? After confirming that the Red Demon was fine, Ningyu fell into deep thought. After Xu Jinfu had died in battle, he had relied on the method that Zun Jianwen had taught him to completely control the Vortex of Dead Souls. Although he had control of the Vortex of Dead Souls, Ningyu could not unleash its full power. The key reason was that he did not have the yin qi of the Dead Souls. Without the yin qi of the Dead Souls, the power of the Vortex of Dead Souls was at most equivalent to that of a half-step yin-yang realm martial artist. Forget it, I'll keep the Vortex of Dead Souls. Who knows, I might be able to find yin qi of the Dead Souls in the future. After some thought, Ningyu dismissed the idea of using the Vortex of Dead Souls. Xu Jinfu's Vortex of Dead Souls was of a very high level. It was far stronger than Qi Jiang's Vortex of Dead Souls. Who knows, I might be able to use it if I keep it. Zhonghang's concealment technique is very good. I have to find a way to force out the cultivation method of the concealment technique. Ningyu secretly made up his mind to capture Zhonghang and force out the concealment technique. Ningyu was very clear that if he did not have the soul perception of his previous life, even if his soul power was at the 6th grade level, he would not be able to detect Zhonghang. Swoosh! At this moment, Zhonghang suddenly jumped out of the void. His right hand clenched into a fist, which contained an extremely violent fluctuation of essence qi, ruthlessly punched at Ningyu's chest. Vajra fist. Zhonghang's fist was heavy and powerful. If an ordinary true martial realm martial artist was hit by it, even if he did not die, he would still end up crippled. Vajra fist her. Facing Zhonghang's fist, Ningyu's face was slightly dignified. His sea of consciousness rolled, and 2 illusory golden cores jumped out of his sea of consciousness. Buzz! Immediately, the essence qi in the 2 illusory golden cores poured out and gathered on top of his fist. Bang! In the next instant, Ningyu's fist blasted out and collided with Zhonghang's fist. When the 2 fists collided, a loud sound came out. Zhonghang's pupils shrank, and he retreated a few feet. As for Ningyu, he stood in the same place as if nothing had happened. You have 2 illusory golden cores. Ah! With a cold expression, Zhonghang raised his right hand. Just as he was about to speak, he let out a scream like a pig being slaughtered. Crack! The sound of bones breaking rang out. Zhonghang looked down at his right fist, which was constantly bleeding, and stood there in a daze. Swoosh! Ningyu did not stop his attack because of Zhonghang's daze. His figure flashed, and he instantly appeared beside Zhonghang. He placed the red demon sword on Zhonghang's neck and said coldly, "You said that you would let me know the consequences of offending the Zhong family. Is this the consequence?" You. Feeling the cold flying sword on his neck, Zhonghang's heart sank to the bottom. Things always developed in a dramatic way. When he first saw Ningyu, he thought that he could easily kill Ningyu. When Ningyu used solitaire, he thought that Ningyu's strength was not bad, but it was just not bad. With Ningyu's flying sword on his neck, he finally understood why Ningyu could rise again and again on the Zhong family's catch-up list. Now, he had risen to first place. Ningyu, don't be too proud. The Zhong family has many warriors stronger than me. You can kill me today, but tomorrow, you will be killed by the Zhong family warriors. Zhonghang said proudly. Hihi, you still dare to be so stubborn when you're about to die. With a smile, Ningyu said, answer 2 of my questions, and I can save you from the pain of your soul being burned. You want to ask me everything about the Zhong family? Dream on. Zhonghang said stubbornly. To tell you the truth, I don't care about the Zhong family. I will go to the Zhong family sooner or later. Chapter 389. Chapter 389, Heavily injured, you're interested in my concealment technique? Ha ha ha. Hearing Ningyu's words, Zhonghang was stunned for a moment before he burst into laughter. Don't even think about my concealment technique. Even if I die, I won't hand it over to you. Is that so? Raising an eyebrow, Ningyu exerted some force with the red devil sword in his hand. Once you fall into my hands, even death will be an extravagant hope for you. Kai Kai. Blood seeped out of Zhonghang's neck. When it came into contact with the red devil sword, it made a sizzling sound. Forget it. Your concealment technique is nothing special. Even a late-stage true martial realm martial artist like me can easily discover it. It's fine if you don't have it. Suddenly, Ningyu shrugged and said, I'll kill you today and take it as interest from the Zhong family. Whoosh. Immediately, Ningyu moved the red devil sword away from Zhonghang's neck and swung it down. Wait. However, before the red devil sword could completely swing down, Zhonghang shouted, I can hand over the concealment technique to you, but you have to spare my life. You have no right to bargain with me. The red devil sword stopped in midair. Ningyu said coldly, hand over the concealment technique and you'll have a chance to live. If you don't, there's only one ending for you, and that is death. All right. I promise you. But the concealment technique is in my head. I'll write it down, Zhonghang hurriedly said. I'll give you 5 minutes. Withdrawing the red devil sword, Ningyu took a few steps back and paid close attention to Zhonghang's movements. Rip. Seeing Ningyu retreat, Zhonghang tore off a corner of his clothes. Then, with strands of yuan qi wrapped around his finger, he began to write down the concealment technique. However, in the process, Zhonghang's back was facing Ningyu, and a sinister smile appeared on his face. After about 5 minutes, Zhonghang stopped and threw the corner of his clothes to Ningyu. Pa. Catching the corner of the cloth, Ningyu roughly scanned through the contents on it. Shortly after, blue flames danced on his fingertips, directly burning the corner of the cloth into ashes. There are at least 3 mistakes in the concealment technique formula you wrote for me, Ningyu said gloomily. The concealment technique written by Zhonghang mainly relied on soul force to achieve concealment. As a peak 9th grade alchemist in his previous life, Ningyu's control over soul force had already reached the pinnacle. Although he had never seen Zhonghang's concealment technique before, he could still determine that there were 3 mistakes in Zhonghang's technique. This is impossible. I modified those 3 places to be extremely secretive. How could you have discovered it? Zhonghang shouted with a face full of astonishment. If that's the case, then it really was you who did it. Ningyu's expression darkened completely. In the next instant, he gripped the red demon sword in his hand and injected the vital qi from the golden core of the virtual image into it. Then, he quickly slashed out a sword wave. Hua! The sword wave was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it appeared in front of Zhonghang. Then, under the latter's terrified gaze, it slashed at his neck. You! Feeling the piercing pain on his neck, Zhonghang's mouth opened slightly, and his eyes widened. He stretched out his hand and pointed at Ningyu, wanting to say something, but before he could finish, he fell to the ground with a thud. Buzz! At that moment, the red demon sword began to vibrate and emit a buzzing sound. The change in the red demon sword caused Ningyu to be slightly taken aback. Then, as if he had thought of something, Ningyu's expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly extended his senses. Damn it! Cursing under his breath, Ningyu immediately rose from the ground and rushed towards the battlefield where the red demon sword was at an astonishing speed. Bang! In the courtyard of the Zhong family, the red demon sword forced an early primal core evil blood guard to retreat. He leaned against the wall and panted heavily. The red demon sword had been about to kill Zhongquan, but who would have thought that 10 early primal core evil blood guards would suddenly appear and surround the red demon sword with Zhongquan? The red demon sword was stronger than Zhongquan, but not to the extent of being abnormally strong. After battling with Zhongquan for more than 10 minutes, the red demon sword finally found an opening in Zhongquan's defense and wanted to kill him in one blow. Unexpectedly, 10 early primal core evil blood guards appeared in time to not only save Zhongquan, but also to attack the red demon. This caused the red demon sword to be exhausted from running for his life. Haha, aren't you arrogant? Arrogant. Seeing the red demon's miserable state, Zhongquan laughed sinisterly. I only need to use 10 evil blood guards to defeat you. Fat. Aren't you afraid of biting off your tongue? The red demon said coldly, if I want to leave, you can't stop me. You think you can leave? Shrugging, Zhongquan pointed to the 5 primal core realm warriors beside him and said sinisterly, if I want to, I can kill these 5 primal core realm warriors at any time. Whoosh. Hearing Zhongquan's words, the expressions of the 5 primal core realm warriors changed slightly. One of the early primal core realm warriors said in a low voice, Big brother. Before the early primal core realm warrior could finish his sentence, the late primal core realm warrior who was addressed as Big Brother waved his hand and said in a low voice, wait for them to make their move. Just 10 early primal core evil blood guards won't be able to do anything to us. Later, watch for my signal and remember not to be rash. The 5 of them are primal core realm warriors from Ivory City. If you kill them, aren't you afraid of being surrounded by the warriors from Ivory City? At this point, the red demon calmed down and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. No matter how powerful the Zhong family of the capital is, they can't go against the entire Ivory City. Ha ha ha. Zhongquan laughed maniacally. Then, his expression turned cold and he scolded, the entire Ivory City? To tell you the truth, after today, Ivory City will probably be riddled with. Oh no. Halfway through his sentence, Zhongquan's pupils shrank and he retreated. As he retreated, Zhongquan shouted, evil blood guards, protect me. Hearing this, the 10 evil blood guards moved out in unison and formed a circle in front of Zhongquan, surrounding him tightly within. Whoosh! The 10 evil blood guards had just surrounded Zhongquan when several terrifying sword waves appeared above their heads. Stop the sword waves at all cost. Zhongquan's heart sank as he looked at the terrifying sword ripples that kept coming at him. He cried out hysterically. Like the red demon, Zhongquan had expended a lot of energy. He wanted to escape, but he did not have the strength. He could only pin his hopes on the 10 evil blood guards. Fortunately, the evil blood guards were men of sacrifice and would obey orders without question. Whoosh! As soon as Zhongquan finished speaking, one of the evil blood guards flew up into the sky and collided with the sword waves. Whoosh! The sword waves were extremely powerful. The evil blood guard did not even manage to block them for a second before he was defeated and died on the spot. Whoosh! 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 Soon after, another 3 evil blood guards charged out, charging towards the sword wave in the sky without any hesitation. Whoosh! 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 The outcome was as expected. After resisting for a second, the 3 evil blood guards were defeated and killed on the spot. Chapter 390. A little test. Hearing Zhongquan's words, the remaining 6 evil blood guards did not hesitate. They leaped into the air and channeled their Yuan Qi to form a protective Yuan Qi shield above Zhongquan's head. Whoosh! The 6 evil blood guards were only at the early primal core stage. Even though they tried their best to block the attack, a sword wave still tore through the Yuan Qi shield and headed straight for Zhongquan. Damn it! What the hell are you all doing? Seeing the powerful sword wave break through the shield and head for him, Zhongquan's expression changed. He cursed under his breath and immediately retreated. However, Zhongquan had expended too much energy. His speed of retreat was obviously slower than the sword wave, and he was quickly caught up. The sword wave gradually expanded before Zhongquan's eyes and finally landed heavily on his chest. Bang! As the sword wave hit his chest, Zhongquan felt a sweet taste in his throat. He spat out a mouthful of fresh blood and his face turned extremely pale. Swoosh! At this moment, a figure approached from afar and landed in front of Zhongquan. You are Ningyu. Zhongquan raised his head to look at the warrior who had suddenly appeared. He was stunned at first, then said coldly, "Why are you here? Where is Zhonghang? You wish to see Zhonghang? All right, since you have requested it, I will fulfill your wish." Ningyu shrugged and then swung the red demon sword in his hand towards Zhongquan. Seeing the flying sword approaching him, Zhongquan's eyes narrowed. He could not help but raise his arm to block. Crack! After all, Zhongquan was only a peak primal core warrior. The strength of his body could not compare to a king-level flying sword. With a loud crack, Zhongquan's arm was chopped off. Ah! With his arm chopped off, Zhongquan let out a hysterical scream. Pu. In the next moment, Zhongquan's scream came to an abrupt stop before it could even finish. He lowered his head to look at the red flying sword sticking out of his heart. His mouth opened slightly as he raised his left hand and pointed at Ningyu. Then, his eyes dimmed. Bang! His body fell backward and landed heavily on the ground. At this moment, the Zhong family's genius, Zhongquan, had died in battle. I've underestimated Ningyu. He's much stronger than he looks. Seeing that Zhongquan had been killed among the 5 Primal Core practitioners, the leader of the late Primal Core practitioners muttered, "We have to act quickly. If we give him more time, the things I brought might not be of any use to him." Cough cough. After killing Zhongquan, Ningyu coughed twice and slowly walked toward the Red Devil. "Big brother, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, if you don't act now." Ningyu's actions caused the mid-primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner to be slightly taken aback, and he hurriedly said, "Shut up, I know what I'm doing." The late primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner said coldly, "We cannot fight in Ivory City." Sigh. Hearing this, the intermediate primal core stage warrior sighed and turned his head away. In his opinion, this was a rare opportunity. If he missed this opportunity, he might not get another one. Ningyu had just fought a great battle, and his strength was definitely not at its peak. There couldn't be a better time to make a move. He didn't fall for it. Ningyu's brows furrowed slightly, feeling somewhat incredulous. The reason he had pretended to cough was to force the 5 primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners to make a move and give themselves away. Unexpectedly, the 5 primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners were very calm and did not make a move. Since that was the case, Ningyu did not expose them for the time being. Instead, he came to the Red Devil's side and asked, "Red Devil, how are you? Are you all right?" Shaking his head, the Red Devil said, "I'm fine, I won't die yet. If you die, I'll immediately head to the capital and trample the Zhong family to the ground." Ningyu said coldly, "Let's not talk about this first. In your opinion, should we?" As he spoke, the Red Devil glanced at the 5 primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners and told Ningyu what he had heard from the 5 primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners. After a moment's thought, Ningyu said, "There are still 15 evil blood guards outside. Now is not the time to act. Just 15 evil blood guards, leave them to me." The Red Devil said proudly. "Are you sure you're a match for them?" Ningyu asked hesitantly. The evil blood guards were only at the early primal core stage. With the Red Devil's strength, if he was at his peak, it would not be difficult to kill them. More importantly, the Red Devil had expended a lot of energy and was not at his peak. "You don't have to worry about that. Just give me the Red Devil sword to use. I promise to finish off all the evil blood guards within 20 minutes. The Red Devil said, "Furthermore, if I were to act against the evil blood guards, Hu Qingchen and Sun Xing would definitely help. Be careful. I'll give you the Red Devil sword and 3 million premium origin crystals for you to use." Ningyu threw the Red Devil sword to the Red Devil. Following that, he took out a storage bag and handed it to the Red Devil. "Wait here first, I'll be right back." After receiving the Red Devil sword and the storage bag, the Red Devil looked at the 5 primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners and said to Ningyu, "If they dare to act against you, I'll rush back immediately." Whoosh! With that, the Red Devil rose from the ground and rushed out of the Zhong family in the blink of an eye. After the Red Devil disappeared, there were only 6 people left in the area. 5 primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners, and 1 Ningyu. "What are your names?" After sorting out his thoughts, Ningyu came before a late primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner and said, "You should know my name, Ningyu, from Danwu College. Outsiders call us the Dangshan 5 Tigers." Before the late primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner could speak, one of the early primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners said, "My eldest brother is the Golden Tiger, second brother is the Silver Tiger, third brother is the Bronze Tiger, fourth brother is the Iron Tiger, and as for me, The leather tiger, gold, silver, bronze, and iron skin. Hearing the names of the 5 ancient martial art practitioners, Ningyu was speechless. There were people with such names. The world was really big and full of strange things. That gold. Golden tiger, can I ask you a question? Ningyu asked hesitantly. Ask away. As long as I know, I will tell you, Golden tiger said. How strong are you? Ningyu asked. Strength. Frowning slightly, Golden tiger said, if the 5 of us work together, we should be able to go up against a peak primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner. Golden tiger did not know what Ningyu was asking, so he answered very formally. Oh, if you can go up against a peak primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner, why didn't you help when the Red Devil was surrounded by the Zhong family? Ningyu asked casually. This. Golden tiger was a little embarrassed. He looked around and said, the capital Zhong family is very powerful, we did not want to offend them. Haha, you did not want to offend the capital Zhong family, so you let my brother fight for you? Ningyu laughed coldly. If not for my brother, the Red Devil, you would have been blown to smithereens by now. We were blasted to the point where not even dregs were left. Just 1 peak primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner from the Zhong family and the remaining 10 evil blood guards. Chapter 391. Heavily injured 5th brother, no one will take you for a mute if you don't speak. Jin, whose face darkened as he chided, the 5 of us together can only go up against a peak Yuan core martial artist. How are you going to kill an early yin-yang martial artist? Big brother. Pai, who fiercely glared at Ningyu after being scolded by the golden tiger. Then, he immediately retreated behind the golden tiger and no longer spoke. Hihi, Ningyu, my 5th brother has a big mouth. His words cannot be trusted. Jin, who laughed. Your 5th brother's words can't be trusted, but what about yours? Ningyu stared at Golden Tiger and said solemnly. Being stared at by Ningyu, Jin, who felt like he was being stared at by a wolf and felt uncomfortable. Resisting the urge to attack, Jin, who said, of course my words can be trusted. I have no quarrel with you. There is no reason for me to lie to you. I hope so. Shrugging, Ningyu walked to an empty space and sat down cross-legged. After Ningyu sat down, Jinhu and the rest looked at each other and began to discuss in low voices. Big brother, I think Ningyu has already discovered us. Why don't we make our move while the man in red is gone? Pai, who was the first to speak. He was still holding a grudge for what had happened earlier and could not wait to grab Ningyu and slap Ningyu a few times. Big brother, I think 5th brother is right. Ningyu must have noticed something. If we wait any longer, it will only be disadvantageous for us. Taihu and Pai, who shared the same opinion. The man in red who went out just now has already gone up against the evil blood guards. Silver and bronze tigers echoed, losing an important helper is very beneficial for us. This is a rare opportunity, we cannot miss it. Hearing the other 4 martial artists' words, Jinhu's heart began to waver. Ningyu's growth was just too fast. Compared to the Ningyu who fought Zhongbin, the current Ningyu's strength had increased by at least 30%. In other words, if Ningyu was given another 2 hours, it was highly likely that Ningyu's strength would double. Now that Ningyu was already so strong, if he doubled it, the scene would be too beautiful. Golden Tiger didn't dare to think about it. After pondering for a moment, Golden Tiger said coldly, Paihu, go test Ningyu first. See if Ningyu is at his peak. Golden Tiger didn't plan on completely exposing himself. He decided to let Paihu test the waters. If Ningyu wasn't at his peak, he would join the battle and fight Ningyu with Paihu. If Ningyu was strong, then they would have to think about it at length. Yes, big brother. Paihu had been waiting for this moment for a long time. His face lit up when he heard Golden Tiger's words. His figure flickered as he arrived in front of Ningyu. Kid, didn't you say that we were weak? Now, I challenge you. Paihu said sinisterly. Not interested. Ningyu didn't even bat an eyelid as he rejected Paihu's challenge. You're asking for it. Paihu was enraged by Ningyu's disregard. In the next moment, He rose from the ground and punched at Ningyu with a violent gust of wind. There is indeed something wrong with an early primal core cultivation to be able to unleash such powerful combat power. Feeling the violent yuan qi in Pai Hu's fist, Ningyu's face turned serious, but that was all. Even if Pai Hu's strength doubled, he would still not be a match for him. Ningyu's right hand struck out and collided with Pai Hu's fist. Crack. Ah. When the two fists collided, a crisp sound accompanied by a scream like a pig being slaughtered rang out in the area. What's going on? I don't know. This scream seems to have come from the Zhong family's courtyard. Is there anyone else in the Zhong family's courtyard? Of course there are people inside. Have you forgotten that Ningyu and the 5 Yuan Dan realm martial artists are still inside? Not just them, there are also the Zhong family's peak primal core practitioners and 10 evil blood guard. The Zhong family's peak primal core practitioners and 10 evil blood guards must have met with misfortune. Otherwise, the man in red beside Ningyu would not have come out and fought with the remaining 10 evil blood guards. In front of the Zhong family's courtyard, many practitioners stood on two sides, leaving a large open space in the middle. In the open space, a chaotic battle was taking place. The two sides were naturally the Zhong family and the Hongmo family. On the Hongmo side, there were Sun Xing, Hu Qingchen, and the elders of the various families. On the Zhong family's side, there were the Zhong family practitioners and 10 evil blood guards. Originally, everyone was watching the battle between the Zhong family and the Hongmo family. Who would have thought that a scream like a pig being slaughtered would come from the Zhong family's courtyard, attracting everyone's attention? Ningyu, I want you dead. Pai Hu let out a scream like a pig being slaughtered as his bones were smashed. Then, with a hideous look, he said, no one can save you today. If you want to fight, let's fight. Why all the nonsense? Patting his butt, Ningyu stood up from the ground and said, you're not my opponent. Tai Hu, Tong Hu, come at me together. Big brother. Hearing this, Tai Hu and Tong Hu looked at Golden Tiger, seeking his opinion. We can try, Golden Tiger said. Whoosh. Whoosh. As soon as Golden Tiger finished speaking, Tai Hu and Tong Hu rose from the ground and turned into a blur as they charged at Ningyu with Pai Hu. Pai Hu and Tai Hu were early primal core practitioners, while Tong Hu was mid-primal core practitioners. The three of them together could match a peak primal core practitioner in terms of aura. 3. Seeing Pai Hu and the others charging at him, Ningyu's face darkened. He waved his sleeve and a flying sword appeared in his hand. Soul-severing sword. Ningyu had already handed the Red Devil sword to Hongmo. Now, he could only use the soul-severing sword. Fortunately, Pai Hu and the others did not have high levels of cultivation. Otherwise, Ningyu would not be able to defeat them with the soul-severing sword alone. Solitaire. With a low shout, Ningyu waved the soul-severing sword and sent out a sword wave towards Pai Hu and the others. Buzz. As soon as the sword wave flew out, it split into 3 and slashed at Pai Hu, Tai Hu, and Tong Hu respectively. Oh no. Pai Hu and the others were not fools. They could clearly feel the powerful yuan qi waves coming from the sword wave. However, they had already said what they wanted. If they backed out now, they would definitely be mocked by Ningyu. They had no choice but to face the sword wave head-on. Fart. 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 Without a doubt, Pai Hu and the others had overestimated their strength. The 3 sword waves tore apart the energy barrier in front of them in an instant. Then, under their horrified gazes, they slashed at their chests. The pain from their chests caused Pai Hu and the others to spit out a mouthful of blood. Their breaths were weak. Hiss. However, they did not notice that when the sword wave came into contact with their chests, a wisp of soul power quietly attached itself to them and entered their bodies through the wounds on their chest. Come back. After doing all this, Ningyu waved his hand and the soul-severing sword turned around in the air and returned to his side. Chapter 392. Chapter 392, Shattering the Protective Shield Pucci. Hearing Ningyu's words, Pai Hu spat out another mouthful of blood, his face ashen with anger. He had lost to Ningyu twice, and the second time, it was 3 people against him at the same time. This made Pai Hu lose all face. Ah! Pai Hu clenched his fists, forgetting that the bones in his right hand had been broken by Ningyu. He couldn't help but let out a miserable shriek. Ningyu, it's just a spar. Don't you think it's a little inexcusable for you to be so heavy-handed? Just then, Silver Tiger's figure flashed, and he appeared in front of Pai Hu, blocking him. Inexcusable? Ningyu raised his eyebrows. Injuries are unavoidable in a spar. If you're afraid, then don't spar with me from the start. Me. I'll spar with you. Silver Tiger snorted coldly. Do you dare? Ningyu didn't answer Silver Tiger. Instead, he moved his feet, walking toward Golden Tiger. After a while, Ningyu stood in front of Golden Tiger. What do you think of this matter? Ningyu asked directly. I have no opinion. I won't stop second brother from doing what he wants to do, Golden Tiger said indifferently, as if he didn't care. Ningyu, do you dare or not? If you don't dare, just admit defeat and I won't make things difficult for you. Silver Tiger shouted. Why wouldn't I dare? Ningyu shrugged. I'm just afraid that someone will admit defeat later. Shameless boasting. With a sneer, Silver Tiger appeared in front of Ningyu like a ghost. His leg brought along a violent Yuan Qi gale, ruthlessly sweeping toward Ningyu's head. This kick was powerful, heavy, and clean. If Ningyu was kicked, his brain would probably explode. Silver Tiger's sudden attack made Ningyu's face turn grave. He raised his right arm in front of him. Bang! Silver Tiger's kick landed squarely on Ningyu's right arm. Kacha. The heavy blow even caused cracks to appear on the bluestone floor beneath Ningyu's feet. If this is all you've got, then go to hell, Shio. In the next moment, the Silver Tiger leaped into the air and charged at Ningyu at an astonishing speed. With second brother's help, that brat Ningyu is dead for sure. Pai Hu said sinisterly when he saw Silver Tiger dashing out. That's right. Second brother's strength is comparable to an early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. How could Ningyu be his match? Tong Hu nodded. I'm really looking forward to seeing Ningyu's expression when he kneels on the ground and begs for mercy, Tai Hu said coldly. Third brother, fourth brother, after Ningyu is defeated, you must give me a chance to humiliate him, Pai Hu said viciously. Don't worry, fifth brother. We will keep Ningyu's arm for you. Tong Hu smiled as he patted Pai Hu's shoulder. Yes, when the time comes, not only can you cripple Ningyu's arm, but you can also dig out. What? Tai Hu echoed. However, before he could finish his sentence, he saw a horrifying scene. His eyes widened and his face was filled with astonishment. Not far away, Ningyu formed a hand seal with his right hand and suddenly blasted out a palm print. The palm print contained violent Yuan Qi fluctuations, and before the Silver Tiger could react, it had already arrived in front of him. Shio. Then, Ningyu waved his sleeves, and a weak cold glint of soul power shot out. Explode. Following Ningyu's shout, the cold light of his soul force collided with the palm print and exploded. Rumble. The aftermath of the explosion seemed to have eyes and rushed toward Silver Tiger. Damn it. The sudden change caused Silver Tiger's expression to change. He hurriedly took out the golden core in his sea of consciousness and let it float above his head. Buzz. The Yuan Qi in Silver Tiger's golden core quickly surged out and formed a Yuan Qi shield in front of him. After the shield was formed, Silver Tiger was still a little worried. He took out a white ball and crushed it. When the ball shattered, a terrifying Yuan Qi surged out and attached itself to the Yuan Qi shield in front of Silver Tiger. Kai, Kai, Kai. The aftermath of the explosion collided with the Yuan Qi shield and produced a continuous burst of sizzling sounds. Is Ningyu so strong? Could it be that even second brother is no match for him? Impossible, second brother must have held back. Pai Hu shouted loudly, Second brother, what are you waiting for? Show your trump card and defeat that brat Ningyu. Silver Tiger also wanted to use his trump card, but now that he was trapped in the Yuan Qi shield, he didn't dare to move an inch. He could feel that the aftermath of the explosion of Ningyu's palm imprint contained a terrifying soul pressure. If he used his trump card now, Ningyu would definitely see through it and take it away. That was because he couldn't use his trump card under the powerful soul force. Silver Tiger communicated with Golden Tiger while resisting the aftermath of the explosion. Big brother, if we don't attack now, when will we? Jin, who took a deep breath and said, give me 3 minutes. I need to prepare. Ningyu's strength was somewhat beyond Golden Tiger's expectations. He originally thought that no matter how weak Silver Tiger was, he could at least fight with Ningyu for a few dozen moves. But now it seemed that he was wrong. In just 2 moves, Silver Tiger was restrained. Moreover, he was restrained so tightly that he couldn't even use his trump card. I can't care so much. Even if others find out, I have to seize this chance to capture Ningyu. Golden Tiger's eyes flashed with a bright light. He immediately sat down cross-legged and quickly formed hand seals with both hands. Actually, before coming here, Golden Tiger's order was to bring back Ningyu without alerting anyone else and arousing their suspicions. If it really didn't work, then he could kill him. Therefore, Golden Tiger didn't plan to attack in Ivory City at first. But the current situation didn't allow him to think too much. He could only capture Ningyu here, or even kill him. Although Ningyu was attacking the Yuan Qi shield in front of Silver Tiger with all his strength, his eyes were still focused on Golden Tiger. Especially when Golden Tiger sat down cross-legged and started forming hand seals with both hands. His expression also became completely gloomy. 3 minutes to prepare. Ningyu was very skilled in controlling his soul power. Moreover, Silver Tiger's soul power was only at the level 4 level. Therefore, Ningyu had already seen through the conversation between Silver Tiger and Golden Tiger. Ningyu knew very well that Silver Tiger was not weak. If he hadn't taken the initiative, he would probably still be entangled with Silver Tiger. If that's the case, I'll kill Silver Tiger first. Thinking of this, Ningyu's eyes turned cold and he slashed with the soul-breaking sword in his hand. Whoosh! In the next instant, several sword waves appeared and blasted toward the Yuan Qi barrier in front of Silver Tiger from all directions. Crack! Several sword waves slashed at the Yuan Qi protective shield, and in an instant, the Yuan Qi protective shield was on the verge of collapsing, constantly swaying. Oh no! Chapter 393. Mother and child ring. Damn it! The item that Golden Tiger brought needed 3 minutes to prepare before it could unleash its full power. Only 2 minutes had passed, and he was not ready yet. However, he cursed under his breath when he saw Silver Tiger's miserable state. His body turned into an afterimage as he charged at Ningyu. Golden Tiger had no other choice. If he did not make a move, Silver Tiger would most likely be killed. He had fought alongside Silver Tiger and the others for a long time and had a good relationship with them. Naturally, he did not want to see Silver Tiger and the others killed. Finally making a move, seeing Golden Tiger charging at him, Ningyu's expression turned grave. In the next moment, he injected the primordial qi in his sea of consciousness into his fist and punched the primordial qi barrier in front of Silver Tiger. Crack! Bang! 2 consecutive sounds rang out in the area. The first was the sound of the primordial qi barrier shattering. The second was the sound of Silver Tiger being sent flying and hitting the wall. Fart! Silver Tiger coughed up a mouthful of blood. His aura was somewhat weak. Thump! Silver Tiger struggled to stand up, but he realized that his legs were weak and fell to the ground again. Solitaire! After sending Silver Tiger flying with 1 strike, Ningyu's eyes turned cold. He quickly swung the Absolute Soul Sword in his hand and slashed out a huge sword wave. Not only was this sword wave huge, but it was also much more powerful than the previous sword waves. Child's play. Golden Tiger clearly did not take the sword wave seriously. He snorted and swung out a cold gleam from his sleeve. Fart! The cold gleam and the sword wave collided. What Golden Tiger expected did not happen. Instead, the cold gleam that he swung out was defeated. Then, a huge sword wave slashed toward the Golden Tiger's face. Go! At the critical moment, Golden Tiger reached into his pocket and took out a silver bracelet. He frantically injected the primordial qi in his body into the bracelet. As the primordial qi continued to enter, the bracelet gradually grew until it was the size of Golden Tiger. What? Then, under Ningyu's astonished gaze, The ring erupted with a terrifying devouring force, swallowing the sword wave that he slashed out into its body. Obviously, Ningyu did not expect such a change. After staring at the ring for a second, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad feeling about this. Devour magic treasures. Furthermore, it has reached heaven rank high grade. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu's expression was extremely solemn. Because he'd determined that the ring before the golden tiger wasn't an ordinary magic treasure, it was a devouring magic treasure, and it was a shocking high-grade heaven-rank magic treasure. Although the absolute soul sword was also a devouring magic treasure, it was merely a low-grade heaven-rank magic treasure. Moreover, it could only devour soul force. If Ningyu didn't guess wrongly, the ring in front of him could not only absorb soul force, but it could also devour yuan qi. Ningyu, I didn't expect you to know your stuff. After the ring had completely devoured the sword wave, Golden Tiger sneered, surrender obediently and let me destroy your cultivation. Then, you might have a chance to live. Otherwise, then, Golden Tiger threw the ring into the air and said gloomily, only death awaits you. Golden Tiger, do you think a high-grade heaven-rank devouring magic treasure can restrain me? Ningyu said coldly, I think you've misunderstood. Golden Tiger shrugged and pointed at the ring in the air, this is just a child ring. Its function is to devour soul force and yuan qi. Child ring? There's a mother ring. Ningyu frowned. Of course. Golden Tiger waved his sleeve, and in the blink of an eye, a golden ring flew out and stopped on top of the silver-white ring. This is a mother ring. The mother ring is much more powerful than the child ring because it can launch attacks. Big brother, stop talking nonsense with him. Hurry up and kill him. At this moment, Pai Hu dragged his heavy steps to Golden Tiger and said fiercely, if we delay, there might be changes. That's right, big brother. Ningyu is very cunning. He might have already asked for help from Danwu College. Not far away, Silver Tiger shouted, when we came, the Crown Prince said that this time, Danwu College will also send experts, second brother. Golden Tiger scolded before Silver Tiger could finish his sentence. The Crown Prince. Although Silver Tiger quickly shut his mouth, Ningyu still heard the key word from his mouth. The Crown Prince. Could it be that Golden Tiger and the others were sent by the Crown Prince? Thinking of this, Ningyu clenched his fists and was on the verge of exploding in anger. The imperial family was too much. First, they sent Tu Zhon, who was at the Yin-Yang realm, to bring the Dark Emperor to the capital. Who would have thought that Tu Zhon would fail miserably and be brought to the entrance of the Ivory Tower by the Hall Master of Alchemy and forced to self-destruct? Now, the Crown Prince had also sent 5 Yuan Dan realm martial artists to take his life. An aunt could endure, but an uncle could not. Whoosh! With a thought, Ningyu's 4 illusory golden cores flew out from his consciousness and floated above his head. Illusory golden cores? And there are 4 of them. Looking at the illusory golden cores above Ningyu's head, Golden Tiger and the others were dumbfounded. In their minds, only a half-step Yuan Dan realm martial artist could turn chi whirlpools into illusory golden cores. As a late-stage true martial realm martial artist, how did Ningyu do it? Big brother, could his illusory golden cores be fake? Pai Hu frowned. Shaking his head, Golden Tiger said, they're not fake. Every illusory golden core is real. Furthermore, they contain violent yuan qi, much more than yours. Hearing this, Pai Hu's heart skipped a beat. He was an early primal core martial artist, and there was a lot of yuan qi in his golden core. If each of Ningyu's illusory golden cores contained more yuan qi than him, wouldn't that mean that the yuan qi in Ningyu's body had already reached the middle primal core stage, or even the late primal core stage? Don't worry, just hold off Ningyu for a minute. After a minute, I will let him know why the flowers are so red. With a cold snort, Golden Tiger took a few steps back and said in a low voice, the mother ring is very special. The mother ring needs to be activated before it can attack. Give me another minute. Understood. Pai Hu and the others knew the severity of the situation. With 4 illusory golden cores, Ningyu might still have a trump card. Once Ningyu used his trump card, it was highly likely that they would fail miserably today. They had prepared for so long and endured for so long. If they failed at the last minute, Ningyu would not even need to kill them, for the first prince would not spare them. Therefore, even if they were to suffer serious injuries, they had to hold off Ningyu for a minute. You want to hold me off for a minute? Why don't you look in the mirror and see what you're made of? The corners of Ningyu's mouth curled up as he growled, explode. Bang, bang, bang. When Ningyu growled, Pai-hu, Tong-hu, and Tai-hu's expressions changed dramatically. What did you leave in our bodies? Pai-hu stared at Ningyu in disbelief. His eyes were filled with deep fear. Chapter 394. Broken mother ring. Actually, I didn't leave anything behind. Just a strand of soul force in your bodies. Ningyu shrugged and said, since you want to kill me, then you should be prepared to be killed. Me. It's not that easy to kill us. With a cold snort, Pai-hu and the others hurriedly sank their consciousness into their bodies, trying to control their yuan qi to expel Ningyu's soul force. The ignorant are fearless. With the soul-breaking sword in hand, Ningyu quickly rushed out and arrived in front of Pai-hu and the others in the blink of an eye. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Ningyu slashed out 3 sword rays in a row. Under the horrified gazes of Pai-hu and the others, the sword rays ruthlessly stabbed into their chests. Boom. As soon as the sword rays stabbed into their chests, Pai-hu and the others exploded and disappeared from the world. At this moment, Pai-hu, Tai-hu, and Tong-hu were killed on the spot. Golden Tiger, it's your turn. After killing Pai-hu and the others with a powerful attack, Ningyu's figure flashed and he directly flew toward Golden Tiger. If you want to attack my big brother, then you'll have to get through me first. However, not long after Ningyu moved, Silver Tiger crazily rushed toward him. Noisy. Silver Tiger was already heavily injured. Now that he attacked Ningyu, it was no different from throwing an egg at a rock. Ningyu only used 50% of his strength to slash out a sword ray and kill Silver Tiger. Ningyu, I'll cut you into 1,000 pieces. In less than a minute, Silver Tiger and the others were killed by Ningyu. This was something Golden Tiger never expected. He originally thought that Silver Tiger and the others could resist Ningyu for a minute. Who would have thought that the reality was so cruel? Mother Ring, attack for me. After shouting, Golden Tiger jumped up from the ground and controlled the Mother Ring above his head to attack Ningyu. Shio. The Mother Ring's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Ningyu. Then, in front of Ningyu's surprised eyes, 4 yuan qi light pillars suddenly rushed out. These yuan qi light pillars did not immediately blast towards Ningyu. Instead, they turned around and blasted towards the illusory golden core above Ningyu's head. Come back. Feeling the violent fluctuation of yuan qi contained in the yuan qi light beam, Ningyu's complexion changed dramatically, and he hurriedly controlled the golden core to return to his body. The power of each essence qi light beam was comparable to the full blow of a half-step yin-yang realm martial artist. Although Ningyu wasn't afraid of it, his golden core phantom was weak. If it was hit, it would definitely shatter. Out of the 4 illusory golden cores, the shattering of even one was a huge loss for Ningyu. He could not afford it. Solitaire. Retracting the illusory golden core, Ningyu waved the broken soul sword in his hand desperately, sending out multiple sword waves to meet the yuan qi light beams. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Although the power of a single sword wave was not as powerful as the yuan qi light beams, it was still difficult to block the 4 yuan qi light beams. 3 minutes later, the 4 yuan qi light beams completely dissipated. I want to see how many yuan qi light beams you can block. With a cold laugh, the Golden Tiger injected the yuan qi in his body into the Mother Ring and once again controlled the Mother Ring to send out multiple yuan qi light beams. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. This time, Ningyu's heart sank to the bottom. Because in front of him, there were dozens of yuan qi light pillars surging, bombarding him without any regard for their lives. Although the power of these yuan qi light beams had decreased significantly and were only equivalent to a peak primal core martial artist's attack, there were still many of them. It was not difficult for Ningyu to block 1 yuan qi light beam, but with so many of them, even if he were to advance to the early primal core stage, it would be difficult for him to block them. Damn it, if only the red demon sword was in my hand. Cursing under his breath, Ningyu wrapped the yuan qi around his legs and quickly retreated. The broken soul sword was only an inferior grade heaven-level flying sword, so its power was limited. Even if Ningyu used solitaire with all his might, he would not be able to block the many yuan qi light beams in front of him. The red demon sword was different. It had reached the king level, perhaps even the peak of the king level. With the support of the red demon sword, the power of each solitaire was equivalent to a half-step yin-yang stage martial artist's attack. Whoosh! However, just as Ningyu finished speaking, a cold light flew in from outside the Zhong house and landed in front of him in the blink of an eye. The red demon sword? Ningyu was a little stunned when he saw the true face of the cold light. Just as Ningyu was in a daze, the red demon's anxious voice rang in his mind. What are you waiting for, Ningyu? Hurry up and use the red demon sword, or it will be too late. Red demon, the situation on your side? Ningyu asked with a frown. Before Ningyu could finish his sentence, the red demon said anxiously, I'm fine. More than half of the evil blood guards have been taken care of. I have no use for the red demon sword. You can control it now. Hearing this, Ningyu gritted his teeth and hurriedly injected the yuan qi in his sea of consciousness into the red demon sword. Then, he stabbed the sword in front of the golden tiger. The sixth form of the Supreme Nine Purities sword technique, solitaire. This time, Ningyu did not hesitate to inject all the yuan qi in his sea of consciousness into the red demon sword. He even injected the azure spirit fire into it. Facing dozens of yuan qi light beams, Ningyu did not dare to be careless. If he was careless, the consequences would be unimaginable. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Every time Ningyu waved the red demon sword, a sword wave with traces of blue flames would appear. The sword wave would crazily attack the yuan qi light beams as soon as it appeared. Whoosh. One sword wave naturally could not withstand countless yuan qi light beams. The sword wave was quickly devoured by the yuan qi light beams and turned into cannon fodder. Sometimes, cannon fodder could play a crucial role. When the first sword ripple was swallowed, a dozen or so sword ripples separated from the red demon sword and collided with the dozens of vital qi light pillars. Boom! In midair, a total of 50 to 60 yuan qi light beams collided with the sword wave and exploded. Then, a sword wave emerged and swept toward the golden tiger. Oh no! The golden tiger did not expect Ningyu's sword wave to be so powerful after obtaining the red flying sword. Each sword wave was equivalent to a half-step yin-yang realm martial artist's full-force attack. Just 10 sword waves were enough to shatter the dozens of yuan qi light shields that came out of his mother ring. Moreover, they were still rushing towards him. Such a change truly shocked the golden tiger. Without much time to think, he quickly summoned the child ring back, hoping that it could devour the sword wave that Ningyu had slashed out. The Z-ring is a high Tian class devouring treasure. This sword ripple of yours can't do anything to, what? Jin, who let out a cold snort. His prideful words had yet to finish when his expression changed drastically and his pupils shrank. This was because he realized that Ningyu's sword wave had directly passed through the child ring. In other words, the child ring's devouring power did not have any effect on the sword wave. Golden Tiger, I added the 280th flame on the mystic flame ranking to this sword wave, the azure spirit fire. It can easily deceive the child ring. Chapter 395. The First Prince's Threat Indigo Spiritual Fire. The golden tiger's expression changed drastically, and his heart sank to the bottom. The child rings of the mother-child ring had a special characteristic, and that was that they had no effect on the mystical fire. In other words, as long as the mystical fire wrapped around the yuan qi and soul power, the child rings would not be able to devour them. Oh no! Just as Golden Tiger was in shock, Ningyu's solitary sword wave had already arrived in front of him. Under his horrified gaze, Ningyu ruthlessly slashed at his neck. Ah! At the critical moment, the Golden Tiger could not care less and quickly raised his right arm to block. A hysterical shriek resounded in the area. The Golden Tiger was pushed back several meters by the huge force, and his back came into contact with the wall. Swoosh! Ningyu did not stop after his successful attack. He flipped his wrist, and countless palm prints appeared before him. Underworld Dominator Palm. As Ningyu shouted, his body was like a cheetah as he lunged at the golden tiger. Looking at the approaching Ningyu, the golden tiger clenched his teeth and suddenly exerted strength in his legs, charging at Ningyu. Boom! For a moment, time seemed to have stopped. Then, the two figures separated and retreated. Bang! A moment later, the golden tiger hit the wall again. The huge force even caused him to be embedded in the wall. On the other hand, Ningyu's body floated to the back. If one looked closely, one could see traces of blood at the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that Ningyu's injuries were not light. Wiping the blood at the corner of his mouth, Ningyu said in a deep voice, "Golden Tiger, are you under the first prince's orders? Ha ha ha, you want to get some information out of me? Forget it." The golden tiger laughed. It was obvious that he did not want to tell Ningyu about the first prince. "Forget it. I know even if you don't say it. The first prince must have sent you." Ningyu could not be bothered to talk nonsense with the golden tiger. Without the Red Fiend sword, the Red Fiend's battle prowess would drop by at least 50%, or even more. Although the Red Fiend had said it casually when he handed the Red Fiend sword to him, Ningyu knew that the Red Fiend must not have felt good. The dozen or so fiendish blood guards and the many experts of the Zhong clan were not easy to deal with. Therefore, Ningyu didn't want to waste time with the golden tiger here. There was still a long way to go. Sooner or later, he would settle the score with the imperial family. "Golden Tiger, there are some people in this world that you cannot offend. Since you have offended them, you must pay the price." The moment the word price fell, Ningyu rose from the ground and turned into an afterimage, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! In the next instant, Ningyu appeared in front of the golden tiger and stabbed the red demon sword at the golden tiger's heart. Puff! The sound of a flying sword piercing into flesh was so crisp. "You've offended the first prince. You won't have a good ending." The golden tiger pointed at Ningyu. Before he finished speaking, his eyes rolled and his breath dissipated. Ding ding! After the golden tiger was killed, the mother and child bracelets lost control in midair and fell to the ground with a crisp sound. Ningyu put away the red demon sword and picked up the mother and child bracelets. After obtaining the mother and child bracelets, Ningyu quickly sent a wisp of his soul power into the bracelets in an attempt to erase the soul imprint that the golden tiger had left behind. However, just as Ningyu's soul power entered the mother and child bracelets, a cold snort sounded from within the bracelets. "How dare you steal my Dharma treasure? You must have eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall." Hearing this voice, Ningyu was slightly stunned. He felt that the voice was somewhat familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had heard it before. Suddenly, Ningyu's expression changed, and he said in a deep voice, "You are the first prince. You know that I am the first prince, yet you still dare to steal my mother and child bracelets. Are you tired of living?" The first prince's voice sounded again, and it was extremely overbearing. "I addressed you as the first prince, and you dare to act so arrogantly?" Ningyu said coldly, "You sent people to kill me. I will take revenge for this sooner or later. Just you wait in the capital. Don't let anything go wrong." He, the golden tiger and the other good-for-nothings really failed. But it doesn't matter. As long as you are stronger, it will be more interesting. The first prince smiled evilly. "Just you wait. The battle between us has just begun." Oh no. As soon as the first prince finished speaking, Ningyu's expression changed drastically. He quickly withdrew his soul power from the mother and child bracelets and used all his strength to throw them into the air. Rumble. After the mother and child bracelets rose to a certain height, they suddenly exploded. How ruthless. Seeing the mother and child bracelets explode, Ningyu's lips twitched uncontrollably. The mother and child bracelets were heaven upper-grade devouring Dharma treasures. How could the first prince give them up just like that? A well-fed man does not know the hunger of a starving man. Look, something exploded. It looks like a magic treasure, and it's a heaven-grade one. What? A heaven-grade magic treasure exploded? Who would waste such a precious treasure? That magic treasure came from the Zhong family's courtyard. If I'm not wrong, it's very likely to be Ningyu. Ningyu? That's not possible. Just now, the red-robed man's strength suddenly decreased, causing them to be at a disadvantage against the Zhong family. If it really is Ningyu, he must be. Ningyu? The last martial artist stopped abruptly halfway through his sentence. His eyes were fixed on a familiar figure that came out of the Zhong family, and his face was full of disbelief. It's Ningyu. Why is he out? Where are the other 5 Yuan Dan realm martial artists and the evil blood guards? I'm not sure, but Ningyu doesn't seem to be at his peak. It's as if his aura is a little weak. Yes, Ningyu's aura is indeed much weaker. When the crowd saw Ningyu come out of the Zhong family, they were all shocked. However, their focus was clearly on Ningyu's aura. Compared to when Ningyu had entered the Zhong family, his aura had dropped by at least 30%, or even more. The sudden drop in his aura made many martial artists curious. What was Ningyu doing in the Zhong family? Hongmo, here. Ignoring the crowd's discussion, Ningyu immediately threw the red devil sword to Hongmo and entered the battlefield with the soul-severing sword in hand. Ha ha ha, Ningyu, you're finally out. After receiving the red devil sword, Hongmo laughed loudly. As if he had been injected with new energy, his combat strength increased by several times. In the blink of an eye, Hongmo killed 2 evil blood guards. Puff puff puff. On the other side, Ningyu was unstoppable. Every time he attacked, an evil blood guard would be killed. The evil blood guards were only early Yuan Dan realm martial artists. Even though Ningyu's strength had dropped significantly, the evil blood guards were still no match for him. Seeing the 5 evil blood guards killed in an instant, the faces of the Zhong family martial artists changed. Are we going to surrender or not? In that instant, the Zhong family only had 1 late Yuan Dan realm martial artist left. His mind raced as he considered whether to surrender or not. After the 5 evil blood guards were killed, there were still 3 evil blood guards and 10 Yuan Dan realm martial artists on his side. With just 3 evil blood guards and 10 Yuan Dan realm martial artists, they would definitely not be able to withstand the attack of Ningyu and the rest. Puff, puff, puff. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.